everybody. My name is Jake. Welcome to Sunday's service. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, current apostate. Let's just say it. I'm a former member who occasionally criticizes my religion, and that is good enough to be labeled an apostate, like so many great apostates of history, like Din Djarin, Ahsoka Tano, and Jesus Christ. Also, this is an edgy stream where I call Jesus Christ an apostate. I know. Cringe. This is all cringe so far, but every week I like to check in with my old religion, Jehovah's Witnesses, and see what they're up to, see what kind of cool, fun videos they're putting out. And recently, and by recently I mean, frankly, for the past 5 years or so, they've been singularly focused on apostasy, on, I'll say it, people like me, people criticizing their religion online. They're clearly very worried about the amount of negative information that is online about the organization, and they are very afraid that the members will find it. If you have nothing to hide, the truth doesn't scare you. Criticism doesn't scare you. But Jehovah's Witnesses, by which I mean the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, not so much individual Jehovah's Witnesses, they do have something to hide. And like all cults and high control groups, they have created this control system where all information that is critical of the group in any way is considered to be fake news, is considered to be propaganda, and they will go so far as to say that it's generated by Satan, wittingly or unwittingly. I don't know it or feel it right now, and also I don't believe that Satan exists, but according to Jehovah's Witnesses, he's right here behind me, kind of puppeteering the strings. So that's definitely going to be something we're going to talk about today. Earlier this week, we talked about some leaked videos from the convention that deal with this subject, the summer convention series that's going to be happening in the next few months. And I'm probably going to release a stream highlight thing of that on the main channel because it's a really interesting video. But before we get into that, I want to talk about a couple things. One is this governing body update, which I haven't watched, and so we'll see if this matter comes up in this governing body update. And then after that, I want to get into some anti-apostate propaganda that maybe some people on this channel have not seen, but that I had to endure when I was a Jehovah's Witness. For the conventions that happen, which are held in secular, worldly convention centers, like my convention was held at the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio, for most of my life. And so I had to go to training. If I was an attendant or I was in the parking department, it's all volunteer labor. And if you're a young man who's not in a wheelchair, they'll assign you to do something, basically. And so I was often assigned to do those things. And I had to go and go to this training program. I compared it to driver's ed, but just nuanced JW stuff. And so there's a really interesting leaked video that it gives it an important insight into the way, not just the way that Jehovah's Witnesses are told to think about apostates, but how they're told to react to them, how they're instructed to shun them and keep them away from supposedly public gatherings of theirs where everyone is invited. So we're going to be getting into all of that. Oh, thankfully, Ice Cream Headache made this joke before I could. And so this is still a clean stream where I haven't said anything. Hi to Apostate Barbie and Falling Tower, and Jenny Bloom and Karen, Care Bear Lynn, and Dial, and Shield Society, and all sorts of awesome people in the chat. Me and my wife, Christina, just watched this horror movie on Netflix last night called Cam, and it's this amazing doppelganger thriller. I've also been reading Naomi Klein's book Doppelganger, and she talks about this movie. I am also obsessed with the concept of doppelgangers. Stay tuned for future stuff that I'm writing. The worst plug of all time. But we watched this movie, and it's about this cam girl who's on this kind of like competitive site where you're ranked, and so she's trying to get her rank up, right? And so now, just when I'm seeing these comments pop on the screen, I'm like, to what extent am I a cam girl? Am I selling my body? Definitely, like from the chest up, I kind of am. I mean, I just made 99 cents. I'll say it from Dr. Shemp. And if you have money to throw around, I would like to direct you to a fundraiser, a GoFundMe for one of the preeminent apostates. I mean, this is one of the most prolific and just like helpful ex-Jehovah's Witnesses to ever be in the game. And so Mark O'Donnell, he has, ever since leaving the organization, become a journalist. He travels all over the United States on his own time and covers child sexual abuse cases. He's become an expert on these things, and he testifies as an expert witness for a lot of CSA cases that happen within the group. And Watchtower naturally views him as probably public enemy number one in their book. And so they have finally found a weaselly way to try and sue him. I'll link it in the description later. I kind of talked about the initial lawsuit being filed a couple months ago. But he has a GoFundMe now to pay for his legal fees. This is something that, greedy, grubby cult leaders with something to hide do, is they use slap suits. They've got a lot of money, and they know that their critics more than likely have a lot less money and resources than them, especially ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And Mark O'Donnell has been kind of funding all of this stuff himself. I've talked to him on the channel before. I need to make a new thumbnail for it because I interviewed him before I knew how to make thumbnails. But it's a really good interview. It's kind of a 101 for everything that people need to know about this organization's issues with child sexual abuse. But go back and watch that too. I'll link this stuff in the description later. So I wanted to read this just because I realized I have totally failed to mention that he got this up and running, and I want to make sure that I shout it out. It says, "My name is Mark O'Donnell, and I am an independent reporter for Maryland, USA. For the past 10 years, I have investigated and reported on crimes against children committed within the Jehovah's Witness community and the deliberate lack of reporting of most of these crimes to law enforcement. In 2019, I was interviewed by The Atlantic, who then published a story, A Secret Database for Child Abuse. By the way, read that article if you haven't. It is spectacular. Sorry, just making sure that my audio is not messing up. I have this habit of like starting to read something on a different screen and then not realizing that I'm not being heard. We'll get to the taking a drink of water sound drop later. Sorry. Within a few weeks, both my wife and myself were disfellowshipped by the Jehovah's Witnesses. So they were disfellowshipped as a direct result of speaking out to The Atlantic in this, very credible and really damning article. Their testimony, I can say it was really important to my waking up process. This is probably one of the first things I read. This probably is the first bit of news that I read online about Jehovah's Witnesses was this Atlantic article. I look like a guy who reads The Atlantic, right? For better or for worse. Within a few months, both my wife and I were disfellowshipped by the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Atlantic article was about documents stolen from kingdom halls in the U.S., then sent to me anonymously. Those documents detail various crimes against children that were never reported to the police by JW elders. I knew that I had to do something and continue reporting. As a direct result of the tips and leads I received from confidential informants inside Jehovah's Witnesses, I am now being sued by the witnesses for upwards of $2 to $3 million. Why? I acted on a tip from an informant in an effort to gather facts that would benefit the public, survivors of abuse, and law enforcement. For my full public statement and the public response, click here. The work I have done as a reporter has always been at my own expense, but now that a multi-billion-dollar church is suing me, I have been forced to accept help from the large number of people who believe in my work and who wish to shed light on crimes committed within the church. I'm facing over $100,000 in legal fees associated with my defense, and this platform may be able to help raise part of what is needed to survive and continue reporting. I am also committed to protecting my sources, including the elders and insiders who risk everything to keep me informed. Any funds raised go directly to the high cost of legal defense and for the high cost of depositions, briefs, and ultimately a public trial in October. That is something that we have talked about a bit on this channel, but Watchtower, most current Jehovah's Witnesses, before they become ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they are physically in, mentally out. They are aware that they're in a cult, but because this is a captive, high-control, high-demand religion, they have to be secretive about it and kind of make their escape plan. And so what happens a lot of times, it happens to me sometimes, where a physically in, mentally out person will email me, maybe just to kind of touch base and connect with someone who's been through the same thing. But someone like Mark, maybe an elder who has some documents of something that wasn't reported to the police, or a victim who's been silenced, or some higher up in the organization, they'll reach out to him and they rely on his confidentiality, because Jehovah's Witness leadership will use all the tools at their disposal to try and out the secret apostate, this PMO, physically and mentally out person, and disfellowship them. We've got Ron Pomo in chat. That's how he got disfellowshipped. And yeah, if you want to donate, that the link to that GoFundMe is in the description. But yeah, Mark O'Donnell's a real one, and this is a worthy cause for sure. So just wanted to make sure I shouted that out. Now, before we get into the governing body update, I frankly have to take more sips of water and probably say the word frankly a few more times. So I'm just going to play this now to get it out of the way.
My church had been giving me ass to drink, but now I was freely receiving, the water of life.
There's no elegant way to transfer out of talking about something important to my stupid cartoonish sound drops, but there we have it. Now, let's get to governing body update number 3 of 2025. I assure you, this is more than just their third update. And a weird thing happens. I don't know when this started, but the JW broadcast, I actually had a commenter point this out, or kind of ask, hey, why aren't the governing body members on the broadcast anymore? And I was like, what? Yeah, they are. But then I looked through, and if you look at the broadcast that they do, the monthly broadcast, they are almost always hosted by a governing body helper or one of the ladder climbers in waiting. And now the governing body updates, that's where you see the governing body on video. And it's interesting because they started doing these during COVID, and they were called COVID updates. They were not called governing body updates. That's how they listed them on the website. And then at a certain point, the COVID pandemic had, well, I don't know if it really ever subsided totally, but in the public eye it did. And so they just relabeled them governing body updates, and they still do them every month or two. Seemingly for their own vanity, because they just have so much to say on camera. And who am I to judge?
Welcome.
Whoa.
In this update, we will talk about planning now for spiritual activities over the next few months.
Thanks, Captain Foodie, for the gifted membership.
Here are a few updates. On March 28, 2025, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck Myanmar and Thailand.
I'm going to speed this up because, dear God in heaven, we've talked about this before, but JWs have a distinct way of speaking slowly.
The epicenter was in Myanmar, in the city of Mandalay. Many brothers and sisters had fled to Mandalay because of war in various parts of the country.
Mandalay Industries.
Sadly, a married couple serving as missionaries in Mandalay died when the apartment building they were living in collapsed.
Jeez.
We can only imagine the pain and grief felt by their family members and the many brothers and sisters who loved them dearly. We continue to pray that Jehovah gives these ones the strength and comfort they need at this time.
These ones. Am I wrong, or did they not even say the name? Because when a governing body member gets on screen, he gets a nice little placard with his name and his title. And when somebody dies, they don't even get named. And they're just one of these ones who I guess you pray for. It's very sad, but Jehovah's Witnesses spin every real world tragedy into their alternate worlds that they've created. Alt-worldly. Hey, that's the name of the channel. And it's just a little gross. I remember one of my first talks that I had to give at a meeting back in my day, kids, when it was called the Theocratic Ministry School, and we had like the number 2 or number 3 talk. It was a number 2 talk, and much like a real life number 2, it was shit. But it was about the rise of earthquakes, and so that was one of the first little, at a young age, at probably 11 or something, doing an Ask Jeeves search about earthquakes and realizing, hey, wait a minute, there actually isn't huge rise in earthquakes. But that's kind of beside the point. My entire life, they've been saying that earthquakes means that Armageddon's going to come, and
time.
some things
Another
never change.
missionary couple living in that same building survived, but sustained serious injuries. They have received emergency medical care, and thankfully, they are expected to make a full recovery.
Yeah, he's doing all
7
right.
other witnesses sustained mostly minor injuries. 6 homes owned by our brothers were destroyed, and 77 more were damaged. 6 kingdom halls were also damaged.
Oh yeah, chat is bringing out. Did you hear active Jehovah's Witnesses in Canada doing a Watchtower survey? Well, it's not a Watchtower survey. There's like research, like a university doing research, I think, into Jehovah's Witnesses, and so in order to do the research, they need to actually talk to Jehovah's Witnesses. But Jehovah's Witnesses are often discouraged from talking to people about their faith like that, which is strange. Like, in the context of going door to door, they're encouraged to preach about their faith. Like, when they're the ones initiating that conversation, that's totally fine. But a conversation with like a reporter or a university, they're discouraged from doing that. But Watchtower wants them to participate because I think they know that if they don't do that, it'll just be all ex-members like me filling out the survey. And so they are actually, like, they had to write the congregation and tell them, hey, you should actually participate in this if you get a chance. Probably because they know that witnesses will say the right things and that will balance out the criticisms. That's my theory, but
The branch committee is coordinating relief efforts, including repairs and reconstruction. In South America and in Southern and Eastern Africa, some of our brothers and sisters are suffering from famine. To address these needs, we are providing food relief to over 8,000 brothers and sisters in 6 countries.
Yes, so they are providing food relief to thousands of their own members, which I want to be clear that is good, but Jehovah's Witnesses are a registered charity, but they only help their own in-group, and maybe occasionally by sheer happenstance they'll help somebody else, but that is not the protocol. The protocol is the opposite. And so what I have argued in previous videos, and I mean, obviously a lot of people have brought this up, is that that's not really charity. Like, in the legalistic definition of the word, all they're really doing is perpetuating their own group. And all of their construction projects, yes, sometimes it's to relief efforts to help build people's homes, rebuild a kingdom hall that's collapsed due to an earthquake. But a lot of times it's also just building a new branch facility, like building a new corporate structure that can be used to do boring busy work and paperwork on behalf of the organization. So they could be using these money and resources to build hospitals, to build homeless shelters, food shelters that benefit everybody, like the Great Samaritan or something. I don't know, but they don't do that.
We sincerely thank you for your generous contributions that make this relief work possible. While we continue to support our brothers and sisters in their
That's
challenges,
interesting.
we also have some positive news to share from around the world.
Ooh.
We're pleased to inform you that on February 12th, 2025, 72-year-old Sister Alganesh Tekle was released from prison in Eritrea. And on March 12, 2025, 80-year-old Sister Berakti Gebretatios was...
Did they blur out something on her head? Am I wrong? There's like a blur here. Yes, there are Jehovah's Witnesses in prison. A lot of times because if you're in a nation that requires you carry a party card, like have some kind of loyalty pledge to your dictator, or that requires you to go to war, or anything like that, that would be considered political, witnesses are encouraged to go to jail, to be conscientious objectors. And then sometimes they are also targeted, like a lot of groups are targeted. I mean, let's be clear, in most of the places where this is happening, any gay people would certainly be thrown in jail by virtue of their own existence. But Watchtower doesn't care about those people so much.
Also released. They have been reunited with their families and are receiving the care they need. Both sisters were among the 23 brothers and sisters previously reported on who were arrested in September 2024. We're also happy to report that 6 brothers were recently released from prison in Russia after serving their sentences. This includes Brother Dmitry Golik, who served about 4 years in prison. Upon release, Dmitry was met by his wife and a group of family members and friends. Also recently released was Brother Inver Seyukov. His sister and her husband were there to share his joy. Inver spent 4 years in a pre-trial detention center. That is a record for the amount of time that one of our brothers has spent in pre-trial detention, where conditions are often harsher than a penal.
Wow, a new record. It's kind of a weird way to say that. Almost as if they are in some way fetishizing their own persecution, because, let's be clear, Russia is also a fascist genocidal state. I do not defend them in any way, but Jehovah's Witnesses, just as a matter of fact, are not the only religious group that's persecuted. Any religious group that in any way goes against the teachings of the Russian Orthodox Church is silenced in this way. And Jehovah's Witnesses, as individual members, are kind of put in this uncomfortable position where they are expected, for their own salvation, to publicly preach and try and convert people. So they're put in harm's way more directly. I mean, Russia also criminalizes gay people, trans people, and again, witnesses don't care about that. Like, they do not care about the fact that they are among many people who suffer in Russia. I mean, what's happened to the Ukrainians, Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't really talk about that. They just talk about the witnesses in Ukraine. And I just find that really gross. But it's inevitable because Jehovah's Witnesses follow a totalist structure. Like, cult experts look to totalitarian regimes to study how control works like this, because that's what a cult is. It is a miniature dictatorship, and there are in-groups and out-groups. And even though Jehovah's Witnesses are negatively affected by this dictatorship, they are their own dictatorship, and so they want to maintain their own delusions in that way. I just find it really unfortunate. Why can't all the people just come together?
Penal colony. Despite such conditions, Enver gave a good witness by his conduct. For example, a fellow prisoner sent him a letter of gratitude that says, in part, "Thank you for being you. You are making this world a better place, showing by example what we should be and what we can become. Your eyes always shine with warmth. Even here, you help people feel happy, at least for a moment. You managed to restore my faith in people. That's
such bullshit, man. I mean, there are many kind and wonderful Jehovah's Witnesses, but to say that your group has a monopoly on kindness is just gross. It's just wrong. They do it with the Holocaust and concentration camps. They really do make it all about them. And they do not talk about all the Jewish people who were killed in concentration camps. They just don't talk about it because they believe on a fundamental level that was all a smokescreen for Satan to get his real targets, a handful of Jehovah's Witnesses, in Germany specifically. I don't like this, but I also don't like talking about it because it does. I don't want to give people the impression that I have no sympathy for witnesses in prison. I do. I just have sympathy for everybody that's in prison, and I don't like that they're trying to make this narrative where it's all about them.
This world needs you. We all need you. We are so proud of our imprisoned brothers and sisters. Although many are enduring harsh conditions, they continue to glorify Jehovah by their fine conduct. As Matthew chapter 5 and verse 16 says,
their fine
"Let your
conduct
light shine before men, so that they may see your fine works and give glory to your Father who is in the heavens."
And as we know, that was only intended for one tiny specific in-group, and not everyone.
May Jehovah continue to strengthen and support all of our brothers and sisters who are in prison for their faith. Here's another recent development.
That's a really specific, that was an increasingly specific thing. Maybe we all continue to support our brothers and sisters. That narrows it down. So don't support people who aren't your brothers and sisters, who are in prison, even more specific, for their faith. Because, he has to be a little careful because there are people who are in prison for their crimes, such as being pedophiles, and they're not encouraged to pray for those people.
In March 2025, the governing body invited branch committee members 80 years of age or older to consider their circumstances. As a result, some of these dear brothers have made a personal decision that they will no longer serve as branch committee members. Let's hear from a few.
Wait. What?
As a result, some of these dear brothers have made a personal decision. In March 2025, the governing body invited branch committee members 80 years of age or older to consider their circumstances. As a result, some of these dear brothers have made a personal decision that they will no longer serve as branch committee members. Let's hear from a few.
Oh, boy. All right, so This language sounds all very, very reasonable, but yes, he means forced out. So you know how, like, when your mom would suggest that you clean your room, it wasn't a suggestion? Yeah, well, that's how the governing body are. I mean, Bethelites, and this is very creepy, but they used to call the organization Mother, and they would just casually refer to it as Mother. We won't talk into, which gets into their weird, incoherent gender essentialism, I guess, but no. That's probably not what happened. I don't know that, so I can't play the theme song yet, but I mean, let's watch this video and find out. Here's what I think is probably happening. When the organization puts together a video and says, you should consider your circumstances, that means you must do it. If it means you might want to make a personal decision to step down, well, remember that personal, like blood transfusions and refusing those are said to be personal decisions, but they'll just say, like, you need to make your personal decision to refuse a blood transfusion. So first of all, I'm a bad streamer because I just threw out the word mother and I didn't play the correct sound drop.
Mommy, when I get out, call me Sammy.
Yes, and also Bo is here. We saw Bo, and we just love talking about our many harmless animals.
Our spiritual paradise is a place that has many harmless animals.
Now, what do we mean by this?
What we mean is Bo's here, and he's hanging out in the window. I don't think we can really see him. What's up, bud? Maybe he'll come up and say hi. All right. So it sounds like they are telling people who are 80 years or older to step down, but they don't want to say that because, I don't know, would that open them up to some, like, ageism discrimination lawsuit? Maybe.
Old age sneaks up on you, and you don't realize at times the limitations that you have.
Hey, Patrick LaFranco.
So
We've made fun of this guy's talks on the show before.
it's a way for the governing body to help us to just accept the reality of old age and the consequences.
During my almost
Isn't that interesting? Nobody in the world has ever come to grips with old age. That's something you can really only get with help from the governing body.
77 years of full-time service, I have always experienced that Jehovah's guidance through the faithful slave brings joy and contentment.
I truly believe that this arrangement is an expression of Jehovah's deep love. Even if our assignments change in the
Wait a minute. This arrangement... So is this an option that people are making based on their personal conscience, or is this a new arrangement where people must step down? I'm getting confused.
regardless of what assignment it may be, will be an opportunity to enjoy our service while constantly thinking about pleasing Jehovah.
Not
This
one
is the answer
paycheck
to a prayer.
ever.
We cannot keep up. Let somebody else, younger, stronger, do the job, and they're doing it.
It makes me
Did they hear this from, I don't know, Garrett Loesch or David Splain or Stephen Ledd or Sam Hurd or any one of the ancient old people on the governing body? Why aren't they stepping down and letting young people take the lead? Or are they? Is that why they're appointing all these new young guys who look like they were concocted in a Jehovah's Witness laboratory? But if that's the case, I mean, are these old governing body members just kind of chilling and hanging on to their title for vanity while all the young people do the work? I don't know.
very happy to see younger brothers now on our branch committee, and they're doing a great job. And I know allowing for other younger brothers to come in, it's going to help the organization.
Ooh.
It has helped me to appreciate, do what you can, not what you can't do. And love it, follow Jehovah's direction, you'll always be happy.
Okay, that's fucking sucked. Karen Booth with a very good clarifying comment. They're going to drive these folks out with no retirement savings and precious little Social Security. Yeah. By the way, what a horrible time if they're in a U.S. branch facility to be cast out of Bethel, where Social Security and Medicare are being gutted. That's pretty bad timing. But maybe not coincidental. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the advice to have old people who are too old for the job step down is not a bad thing. I think it was Dr. Shemp say that the Democratic Party should do that. Yeah, I mean, these old folks are dropping like flies sometimes, but they have money and power, and so they'll be fine, right? I mean, if they're in elected office. But if you're just an old person who's been in Bethel for 50 years, if that's 50 years where your full-time job has been unpaid and you have lived in a cult compound where you don't generate income, you don't have savings, and then you are cast out, are they gonna have insurance? I mean, I guess they'll have to get on Medicare, but can they now? I don't know. Like this, it's really, really gross. And these are branch committee people. That's even weirder to me because, like, is Gary Bro gonna go somewhere? That guy has been covering up their CSA dirt for like 40 years at this point. He's got to be in this age range, but they're keeping that guy around. I feel like we just saw Patrick LaFranca recently. It's the Joe Bidening of Watchtower. Well, I guess, but maybe much like Joe Biden, it will be simply too late, and they'll be screwed.
The governing body deeply loves and respects these dear brothers.
Deeply.
If their circumstances
They don't
permit,
just love...
they will continue to...
And it's not gay or anything, but they deeply love these men.
Dear brothers. If their circumstances permit, they will continue to share in teaching assignments such as conducting morning worship, serving as branch representatives at circuit assemblies, and in giving talks at regional conventions. In that way, our brothers and sisters will continue to benefit from their many years of faithful service. We're all looking forward to the 2000...
No, I'm serious. I mean, what's going on? No, this is no joke.
25 pure worship conventions. This convention series began the weekend of May 9 to 11, 2025, and will continue into early 2026.
I like fast motion.
It will include 19 special conventions to be held in 13 countries.
Special!
The first special convention.
Here's how you know it's special, is they just call it that, but it's the same as every other convention. And I guess you get some, like, exclusive content. You get celebrity guest appearances by this cheesy motherfucker right here. So he can feel good about himself. I'm pretty sure the reason why there's this guy next to him is he's probably translating the talk, which is a real cushy gig for Davis Blaine, because that means he gets to talk. He gets to cut whatever talk he was going to give in half. If he was going to give a 30-minute talk, he gets to cut it down to 15 minutes because it's going to take twice as long to give.
Convention was held the weekend of May 9 to 11 in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. The peak attendance was 12,380, and 177 were baptized.
Whoa!
I'm sure we are all looking forward to attending a convention.
I'm not good at math, but as a ratio of baptized to attending people, that's not actually a great number.
As a reminder, so that everyone can get the most out of the convention program, the governing body requests that we all please be seated so that we can listen to the convention's musical preludes. This will allow us to prepare our minds and hearts for the convention program.
I hated this as a witness. I hate it now. They're so insistent that, I mean, I guess like when you go to the theater and they start playing some music to signify that you should find your seats, they're like, as soon as you hear that music, like a Pavlovian dog, you should be ass in seat, AIS, staring at whatever Jumbotron is in the convention center, watching the goopy, cheesy propaganda videos that we make. When I was growing up, it was just music, but it wasn't just music. They prepared some musical interlude with their orchestra special for the convention. And now they have videos going along with this, which the ones we analyzed from last year's convention were pretty wild. Like, they depicted the Great Tribulation and, like, a militarized state, searching IDs, doing papers, please, like, for Jehovah's Witnesses. Not anybody else, but just JWs. So, like, what's really happening now with immigrants, but Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I guess it makes sense why they do want people to sit and watch them, but it's just weird. Like, these are adults. You're like, can you please be in your seats, children?
Speaking of conventions,
if you can hear my voice, clap once.
Recently, the brothers at World Headquarters reviewed the audio and video equipment needs for regional conventions in 20 African branches. Outstandingly, the attendance in these 20 branch territories was nearly 2.5 times the number of publishers.
They're fucked there.
This represents close to 5 million attendees. But not all of the convention locations have sufficient audio and video equipment to enjoy the...
I did too. I'm definitely a follower, by the way. Like, I've got sheeple mentality that I have to fight against. And so I think a little bit of it is neurodivergence and ADHD and stuff, where rules are very helpful, and I can understand a world with rules. And I'm told if you sit at this time when the music starts, you will get bonus points with God. I'm like, ooh, okay, I understand that. Like, so I would be a little judgy about it, but I also was uncomfortable with it because it felt kind of condescending. But didn't stop me from complying.
Enjoy the convention program like our brothers in other lands.
Oh, they're just like us. Wow. Okay. Now this is important because I can make it about me.
Conventions in 20 African branches. Outstandingly, the attendance in these 20 branch territories was...
Okay. So look at this. I did a video a couple months back about the disparity in the amount of money that they spend in white European countries for their facilities versus African countries, where the most growth is happening, but they're investing the least amount of resources. And kind of comparing this to, let's say, the JW Broadcast Studios or the Warwick facility where Mark Sanderson is at right now. And I had a couple, I guess, witnesses say that I was like taking those pictures out of context, like, no, those were the before pictures. That's not right. And I'm like, no, it is. This really is the improvement. Like, this is what they're bragging about. Now we have a tarp over the sticks that we give African people. We bought, one laptop so we can show pre-recorded videos. It's so gross.
Was nearly 2.5 times the number of publishers. This represents close to 5 million attendees. But not all of the convention locations have sufficient audio and video equipment to enjoy the convention program like our brothers in other lands.
Yeah, they also don't have enough food or water.
We're pleased to inform you that the governing body has approved to spend $21.1 million over a 3-year period to purchase additional audio and video equipment for conventions in Africa.
Build a fucking hospital. That's so much money. $21 million, and they're just going to be buying AV equipment for JW facilities. That should be a crime. It should actually be a crime to have that much money and use it for that purpose. I hate this.
A phased approach will be used to purchase and deploy the equipment for assembly halls, rented facilities, expandable kingdom halls, and even open fields. For 2026, the focus will be primarily on equipping conventions with sufficient audio equipment and generators. Some convention sites will be prepared to install new video setups to enhance existing setups.
What about fucking air conditioning and shit? Like, what? This sucks, man. Plumbing.
We thank you for your generosity in making it possible for us to provide this equipment that will greatly benefit our brothers and sisters.
Making it possible for us to provide this equipment. The governing body has approved this, and we are the ones providing it. Not Jehovah so much. I mean, I brought this up to my parents when they were trying to figure out why I was questioning, and I compared it to this story that the organization uses all the time in the Bible, where Moses takes credit for one of God's miracles, where he strikes the rock and water comes out, but he doesn't give glory to God. He says, I'm the one providing this to you, me and my home dog Aaron, who's a better speaker than me or something. And that's kind of what I compared the governing body to, and they're like, no, they're always giving glory to Jehovah. And it's like, well, they're giving lip service, but it's kind of different, and I don't know. Also, this guy's goatee, it sucks. Listen, man, I hate to be that guy, but the only way to improve your face, Mark Sanderson, is to have a little bit less of it. You're going to have to do diet and exercise. That goatee is not going to change your life. It just isn't.
As well as many interested ones. Now, let's talk about planning spiritual activities.
No walls.
In the Northern Hemisphere, as we move into summer,
but
many
projectors.
of us will have our conventions in the weeks ahead. Even in the Southern Hemisphere, many conventions will be held in the next few months. And you may be planning other activities or possibly vacations too. As you look ahead, what is a good principle
planning
to
vacation?
remember?
Some people
The
are
greatest
planning
joy-
vacations, and some people have to sit in the dirt in a tent to go to the convention. Like, they could... How is the faithful and discreet slave being discreet? Like, how could they possibly be said to be using God's money or God's resources effectively? Like, Stephen Lett had that thing where he's like, we have to be even more careful with Jehovah's money than our own money. It's like, are you really, though? Because it seems like the governing body's digs keeps getting nicer and nicer, and they're just giving a pittance to all of the people of color who just don't live in the United States.
Joy and satisfaction will come from giving to our wonderful God, Jehovah. As Proverbs 3:9-10 says,
I
honor
don't think
Jehovah
so.
with your
I
valuable
don't
things,
think so.
with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your storehouses will be completely filled, and your vats will overflow with new wine. So as we plan our activities for the next few months, let's consider what opportunities we
Maybe
might
give
have
him some
to
actual
expand our
wine.
service to Jehovah. Young ones, if you have time off school during the next few months, could you spend more time in the ministry? In the weeks leading up to each
The
convention,
answer is
you're
yes. Okay, so do you see how they, in suggesting things and having people examine their circumstances, when he says, in your months off of school, could you spend more time in the ministry? There's a correct answer to that. It's yes, you could. So you should be doing it. And it's that kind of language that makes you feel consistently inadequate when you're a Jehovah's Witness, because there's just this little negging that they do where they're like, but couldn't you be doing this? Oh, couldn't you be doing that? Could you do a little bit more of this and give us a little bit more of the cheddar? They don't say it exactly like that.
invite our neighbors to attend the convention with us. That's an excellent time to expand our ministry. Could you auxiliary pioneer? Many of us have fond memories of auxiliary pioneering during school days. Of course, this applies not only to our younger ones. All of us want to consider if we could auxiliary pioneer. Perhaps we might even be able to do so as a family. Could we reach out to work some unassigned or seldom worked territory? No doubt such activities would...
And you know why the stuff is unassigned and seldom worked? It's because they don't give a shit about those parts of the territory, really. I mean, they have $21 million. They have billions of dollars. They have hundreds of billions of dollars. And they could use it to build up these areas that are seldom worked. I mean, they're seldom worked because they just haven't bothered to build any kind of infrastructure there. Or they've torn it down. They've sold the kingdom halls that used to be there so that they could consolidate. I mean, it is literally... This is why every call is a mini dictatorship. Like, it is what's happening with the United States right now, where the wealthy people at the top, they have all the money, but they would really like some more money. And so instead of taxing rich people who have enough, they're just going to squeeze the existing resources that exist among the poor people and bleed them dry. I mean, that is really how the governing body operates.
would bring us deep joy and
It's the
satisfaction.
Doge strategy.
Some of you young ones are finishing school in the coming months. If so, have you prayerfully considered the goal of regular pioneering? The new service year is just a few months away. Why not consider putting in your application? There are also opportunities
Why
to
not
volunteer
consider
for
it?
Kingdom Hall maintenance and construction.
That's telling. That's telling you to do something. It's the same thing. Like, I remember in the... No, I keep on almost... I keep
Could
on
you
like,
apply to
talking
share in
about
this work?
politics. It's not worth
And
it.
remember that baptized brothers and sisters 18 years of age and older may now apply for Bethel. That's another wonderful way to serve Jehovah.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's so wonderful to serve Jehovah by the second you are of legal age, sending in an application so that you can dedicate your life to serving this gentleman here, this little guy right here. We need to keep him in goatees and nice suits, okay? You can see there's a lot of electricity and technology running through this building. That shit ain't free. But your labor is, so chop chop, get to
This
it.
is also an excellent time to think about attending the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. Recently, the governing body encouraged young ones to consider the goal of missionary service. SKE is the door to missionary service. Have you put in your application for SKE?
Fine week of
Remember
activity.
that
No.
baptized brothers and sisters who are at least 21 years of age and who have been serving as regular pioneers for
Yep.
at least 2 years
Wait, no.
may apply
Yep.
to attend. There are so many exciting opportunities. Please carefully
Yep.
consider which ones may be open to you. Of course, we are also making plans to attend a convention in person,
He
if at all
does
possible.
look like Steve Wilkos.
Even if we have limited health or strength, could we attend in person one day or even a half day of the convention?
Just go a little bit, okay? There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Even if you are just the full Joe Biden and you can just barely shuffle up the ramp to the convention center, get your old wrinkly ass there for half a day. Because That's half a day you're not going to be spending in Satan's world, first of all, and you're much more likely to drop a little bit of that cheddar we were talking about into the donation box. I mean, this ring, I've looked it up. It's at least $30 on Amazon. You could be giving him a ring, basically.
Doing so would allow us the joy of praying together, singing together, and being with our dear brothers and sisters in person. In this update, we have considered a variety of ways that we can be busy in spiritual activities. With good planning, we can accomplish much. Our prayer for all of you.
Wow. With good planning, we can accomplish much. The kind of godly wisdom you could only get from the Watchtower, Bible, and Tracht Society.
We can be busy in spiritual activities. With good planning, we can accomplish much. Our prayer for all of you is contained in the words of Psalm 20, verse 4, which says,
Okay. After every gesture, he has to fully return his arms to his sides. It's a little weird.
We can accomplish much.
Back to the
Our
sides.
prayer for all of you is contained in the words
Back
of
to the
Psalm
sides.
20, verse 4, which says, May he grant you the desires of your heart and give success to all your plans.
But he probably won't.
Brothers and sisters, we love you all very much. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
Oh, he loves you very much. That just can't be true. I mean, like, it's just not possible that they love you very much because they don't know you. Unless you really do know them in real life and are their actual friend. They don't know you. And you can't love somebody that you don't know. You can feel empathy for them. You can wish them well. You can sympathize with their struggle. But you definitely cannot love them very much. It's fucked. It's parasocial. No me gusta. They're talking to me. I know, right? Don't they know that I'm watching this? Like, Mark Sanderson loves me very much. That's creepy. All right. That sucked. But let's watch some apostate stuff. Well, to give you a little taste of why I'm a little obsessed with this right now, maybe I can show to use the King James Bible's language, the apostate video, a little taste.
That was nice, but...
Okay, yeah. So, I know that this is a little confusing probably, but earlier we saw a guy with a goatee who is one of the governing body members. So you might think that a goatee naturally means that you're godly, but no, this gentleman here is proving not so much. You can have a goatee and be an evil apostate. And so this apostate guy, well, he's not really an apostate, he just is doubting the organization and is sending this other guy news articles. But this is the clip that is igniting the XJW subreddit right now.
Did you get that message I sent you?
We love your money very much.
Why would you send that to me? Better yet, why are you reading that garbage? It's all lies.
Garbage? How do you know if it's garbage if you haven't even read it?
Listen.
Great question that will go unanswered.
You need to talk with your elders. Because you need help. And if you don't speak to them, I will.
Wow. That's what you feel. I need help. I don't need any help, man. I'm finding the answers to my questions, bro. And I'm keeping an open mind.
All the way up.
Open mind? You're ignoring
Gross.
Jehovah's thinking.
Ew.
The truth saved our lives.
Just non sequiturs, really. I mean, he does not have a response to the one who is taunting him. He's doing an opposite Bible. The anti-Bible.
Look, man, how long have we known each other?
Just the way real
I would
buddies
never
talk.
steer you wrong. I'm not out to hurt you. I'm trying to help you.
Jesus. And Satan materializing. I don't think I saw that when I watched it the other day, that he like materializes like one of the Twilight creatures in Twilight Princess. All right, so that's the gist of it. Get away from me, Satan. Now, that's totally ridiculous, and they released that to the public. But there are also videos that they don't release to all Jehovah's Witnesses. For example, the training that they give to dudes who have volunteer positions at the conventions. And so this is a little bit of anti-apostate propaganda that they showed me in the parking department training. And you might be thinking, what does this have to do with parking or being an attendant? And that's a good question. It's a little confusing. But it's like, what I remember of the program is that they're like, it's about more than just being an attendant. You're not just showing people to their seats. You need to really be stewards of Jehovah's organization. You need to make sure that everybody feels welcome. You need to be smiling constantly, and remember that everybody has maybe had a tough time getting to the convention. You're the first face that they see. And so this is like an example of the kind of trial that a person might have to overcome, a new person who's never been to a convention before.
It's like 3 days, Friday through Sunday, starts in the morning around 9:30, lunch break, ends at around 4, so.
All right, now you can see this gentleman down here, white guy down here, he's eavesdropping. And one thing that I think you should keep track of is how excited this guy is for the very idea of a 3-day Bible convention. He's like, what? This sounds too good to be true. He really does think that, as we'll see. He thinks it sounds too good to be true. But all he's heard is, it's like 3 days, it's like Friday through Sunday, and it's about the Bible.
It's like 3 days,
right?
Friday through Sunday, starts in the morning around 9:30, lunch break, ends at around 4, so what do you think?
I'll try to make it.
Great.
I mean, obviously,
Hope to see you then, man.
It's not like a huge commitment. It's just 3 days. Yeah, so that guy just sitting his sweaty polyester butthole on this guy's desk. Not on my watch. That guy's got a big-ass desk, though. I mean, literally, big enough for an ass to sit on it. Not the best sales pitch I've ever heard, honestly.
You're not seriously thinking of going, are you?
Why not?
What?
My cousin is a Jehovah. And he basically cut himself off from the family. That's what they make you do, you know.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Typical cult.
Whoa! This is so disgusting for several reasons, but the chief one among them is like, and this is, I know it seems like a documentary, but this is actually fictional, and these are actors, and their acting is so good because God's Spirit is upon them. But in the JW construction, worldly people think that Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult because the Jehovah's Witness cuts himself off from the family. And that does happen. You are encouraged to be more skeptical of your non-JW family members. They can be a bad influence on you. But, you know, the main problem is that they shun you if you ever leave. And that's more of a sign of a cult, probably, or at least as much of one. And that's the thing that they're definitely not interested in engaging with, because they can justify the fact that, well, I mean, in their own construction of what it means to justify something, they can justify why it's important to keep watch over your associations with your unbelieving family members. They feel comfortable at that point. They're less comfortable with the idea of, even in a fictional scenario, a guy coming up and saying that's a cult. I mean, like, if you ever question the governing body or leave, they shun you. You might have to die for your faith because of blood transfusions. They're not going to say that. Boom.
Just be careful.
Man. Sad.
I knew it was too good to be true.
He knew it. It sounded amazing. A 3-day, 6-hour Bible convention with a brief lunch break in a stadium with tiny hardback chairs. Sounded like a dream come true. It sounded like the greatest thing he's ever heard in his life. But unfortunately, this group may not be as amazing as he assumed.
I'm David.
All right, so this is the next part. Okay, and it's obviously not edited like this. I just thought it was funny, like, the way they filmed this. This guy extends his handshake, and it takes a long time for the other guy to come up to it. But, so this is a series. They like to do, like, a series of demonstrations where you kind of follow somebody on their way to the convention and all this stuff. So for no reason that is included in the program that I saw, this guy just shows up anyway. He's like, fuck it, I don't care what my smarmy coworker said. The one who's kind enough to not sit on my desk and sit in, instead, a chair. I'm not going to listen to that guy. I'm going to go to my dream come true, the 3-day JW convention. And so now we're going to see how he is treated by the attendants. Just a little snippet.
I'm David.
I'm Eddie.
Eddie, it's nice to meet you. Is this your first time here?
Yeah, it is. I have a coworker who's one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Don't pay attention to this lady. not important to our purposes. But yeah, it's love bombing, right? This is the strategy. This is somebody's first time here, so you got to make them feel at home. That's not bad advice. The first time you invite someone over to your home, you should probably try and make them feel at home. But it is also a very conscious strategy, because they know that the odds are kind of stacked against them and that they have a bad reputation, even if they're not going to accurately say why their reputation is bad. And so the antidote to all this is to just seem as loving as possible. We are the most kind, loving people on earth.
Telling me a little about the event.
Come on in, we have plenty in this section.
Thank you.
And this is the real love bombing here.
Hi, how are you?
Whoa, a guy saying hi and shaking my hand? What the hell kind of amazing place is this? Is this paradise? Is this the kingdom of heaven on earth? Like, he's just so blown away. And this is what you think as a witness, that people are just, their mind is going to explode when they see people being nice to them and smiling and shaking their hands. This has never happened before in society.
I'm good.
Great. How many seats do you need?
It's just me.
So
Get your seat.
helpful.
Thank you.
Watch your step.
Oh, yes.
Right here?
It's true. It's true. Oh, it's so funny. I wish that we could just go through all of these, but yeah, the other dramatization is like there's this kid who's sad and like doesn't want to go inside, and so one of the parking attendants goes up to him and is like, "Hey man, could you use some water?" And the kid's like, "Okay," and that's it. It's just like, if you see somebody alone and sad in their car, maybe be nice to them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was easy. Enjoy the program. Man.
Yeah,
I'm so
good point,
excited to
Jenny.
see.
Like, what?
You know,
when was the last time you saw a
told me you were
convention
gonna
center
be
that
here.
full?
I'm so glad you came.
I'm glad. Me too.
Hey, I have a seat for you. You
I
come
can
sit with my
already
family
tell
right
it's
down here.
amazing, and it hasn't even started yet. And kids are nice to me, and everyone acts exactly the same in a totally scripted way. Okay, so this brings us to the thing that I want to focus on more today, which is the way in which they try and make you scared of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and really make them out to be scary. So the guy at work was not an apostate. That's just a misinformed person. He's got a family member who's a Jehovah's Witness and has these delusions that it's a cult because it takes people away from their family and tells them to be suspicious of them if they don't join the group, and makes you try and convert your family constantly in a way that's creepy and off-putting, and by necessity, because of that, maybe your family is less comfortable having you around because all you're ever doing is preaching at them. Like, that's what witnesses, that is what they do. But then there's apostates. Like, what Jehovah's Witnesses envision is that apostates are these satanic, evil, angry people who are going to storm on stage. Now, there are absolutely crazy people who will storm on a stage, but that's just true of life. There's crazy people everywhere. I think probably any witness watching this would admit that there's some crazy people in the congregation. Well, if those people leave the congregation, they don't stop being the crazy person in the congregation. They just start being the crazy person who was disfellowshipped and now has, a lot of anger towards the group. And so I'm sure this has happened. I'm sure there's been an apostate that's bull rushed the stage. But we're going to see kind of a before and after, like, let's see what the attendants did wrong. Let's look at a crisis and then go back and see how this could have been handled differently. And we have Robert Hendricks, former head of the PR department of Jehovah's Witnesses, making a celebrity guest appearance.
This disloyal world doesn't think much of promises. We can see that in marriage vows. We can see that in credit agreements. What mattered to him was what you said. You gave him your word. You made a solemn promise. That's what dedication is. It's a promise.
Now, you might have missed it, so I did, before the stream, create a little replay so we can see. But that guy, he tried to run up the stairs, but he tripped and fell. Yeah, pretty disturbing. Pretty disturbing stuff. We should probably watch it again. Very good. So, this could be you. This could be you at the convention. If you're not watchful of your post, if you don't keep on the watch and prove yourself ready. He was not getting gains. He was not. Yeah, okay, so this is the guy who got Ron Pomo disfellowship. Because Mitch is in the chat, started leaking information on the PID department. And Robert Hendricks is the head of the PID department, and he's a fucking creep. Can we say that? Like, we watched some footage of him on a news show where he's consciously the whole time rubbing his thigh against the female newscaster. Absolutely demented. And now I don't know, he's just like not doing that anymore. It's really strange. And he's got like a business. He's got a lot of money as it is, so they like him for that reason. But yeah, he like had a personal vendetta against Mitch and like found his identity and called his local congregation to get him disfellowship. So this guy, you know how he feels about apostates. Maybe this is a real, and this is what Robert Hendricks is probably worried about. He's thinking Mitch is going to come run on the stage with the King James Bible. Yeah, I've seen XJWs march outside conventions, and that's your right to peaceful protest. I tend to think that it's probably not going to like change a ton of people's minds, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with peacefully protesting and holding up signs. I mean, especially if you're pointing somebody to like JW Facts or avoidjw.org, that's going to stick in somebody's head, and maybe they'll look at that website. Maybe they'll be definitely more likely to look at it now that they know about it, and it might just plant that little seed of like, what if this is not actually the truth? What if this is a cult? And I remember when I was PMO, I didn't know that I was PMO yet. Like, I just had kind of fallen out of sync with the religion. I felt like I didn't believe it, but I didn't really have the words for that. And I went to a convention, and there was like a single lone apostate standing out there with a sign talking about child abuse. And it really did stick in my head because I'm like, God damn it, why am I so afraid to look up that stuff? So it definitely can make a difference. It just tends to not be my speed personally. But right. So like that sucks. Hall crashing. Like, I think if you actually do what this guy is doing and run on the stage, that sucks. Like, don't interrupt somebody's church service. Don't interrupt. Like, if you start berating people at the cart for content, that's lame. I just think that's so hack and cringe. But anything short of that, I think is fair game. I'm just deeply uncomfortable with the idea of like disrupting a church service, especially now that we live in this world where there could be a shooting in a church. Like, and we've talked about this in the channel before, but there is really a lack of safety against that sort of thing at these conventions. I think that's a really legitimate problem. And there have been issues where there's like a bomb threat or whatever, because again, mentally unstable people exist in all walks of life. And I do worry about that. I worry about these conventions being unsafe. So don't make witnesses feel unsafe. That's not going to help your cause at all. I know exactly what this reference is. And it made me happy. Okay, so that's what could happen. A psycho could run up on stage with the Bible and say something. We don't really know what. We don't really know what he's going to say because they don't ever really want to articulate an apostate argument. And this is like a Christian apostate, you know, frankly. No, let's not get into it. But yes, in their minds, there's a lot of ex-JW Jesus freaks who want to run up on stage and preach about Jesus. So that was the bad example. Obviously, this person should have never got on stage. And so that's where there would be like, how did this happen? How could the brothers have stopped this calamity before he got to the stage? You're an attendant, so here's what you're supposed to do. And so I started the video a little bit later because as with all videos, there's minutes on end of just nothing, like them following this guy around the parking lot. But what happens first is he pulls in the parking lot, our angry stage stormer. He pulls in the parking lot and he has a Jesus Saves bumper sticker. Very suspicious. A real Jehovah's Witness would never have such a thing. Well, we do believe Jesus saves, but, you know, like, it's kind of complicated. It's a little too complicated to explain. And so a simplistic bumper sticker like that is going to send alarm bells. And so now the attendants are stalking this man and alerting other attendants that, hey, 10-4, we got a birdie on the hurt.
Would you mind taking my spot while I assist Brother Lee?
Would you mind waiting right here, please?
Sure.
Christina said it's like infiltrating the ISB. I've corrected her brain with Star Wars.
Hello, sir. Welcome. Can I assist you in any way?
No, I'm just checking out what's going on, okay?
We're glad you're here.
Yes, we are. In fact, we'd be happy to go inside with you and help you find a seat.
Almost forgot his line,
don't
but he
need
didn't,
your help.
you have to admit.
I'm just looking for someone.
That may sound simple, young man, but I can assure you it's not going to be. We'll have over 5,000 people in there today, probably. Really, it's...
Now here's my question. What would happen if this guy was just better at lying? If he wasn't a cartoon villain? And was like, okay, yeah, show me to a seat. I give PR advice to Watchtower all the time. So here's my PR advice to any Jesus Saves Bible thumpers trying to get on stage at a convention. No, like, you shouldn't do that. But, like, if you're trying to, like, get into a convention in some way, you'd probably want to say, yeah, please do show me to your seat. Don't raise any alarm bells before you enact your evil plan. So they always do this. Their scenarios are so cartoonish and over the top that they don't actually help witnesses at all. Like, they're not going to help them deal with a real situation. But what it does help when it comes to Watchtower is it helps them get across this narrative that their enemies are just mean, evil people who want to cause chaos.
No problem. The two of us will go in and we'll help you find your friend.
What congregation are they in? We'd be more than happy to go in and help you find the person you're looking for.
Answer my riddles 3 and I will take you to your seat for free.
What do I have to tell you guys? I don't need your help.
You know, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you were curious about...
A Jehovah's Witness would never say that. They would never, ever say such a thing.
What's going on here. Well, I'd love to share with you why it is that we get together like this. May I show you a scripture that's the theme of our convention from your copy of the Bible? I'm guessing that's the King James.
Yeah, the real Bible.
You know, I like...
Ha ha ha! I would have laughed as a Jehovah's Witness. That probably is what an apostate would say, because we had no idea, because the only thing we're ever shown is cartoon characters.
Like the King James too? I don't know if you're aware of this, but Jehovah's Witnesses printed the King James and distributed it for decades. In fact, when I was just a little boy,
I love this guy's strategy of just boring the guy to death. Now, you're not going to believe this, but back in the day, Jehovah's Witnesses, they used to print their own King James Bible. Why? When I was just knee-high to a grasshopper, my parents, they received one.
I remember my mom and dad getting a copy of the King James Version Bible right at the Kingdom Hall.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Does it look like I care? I guess you guys aren't going to let me in then.
We would love to have you.
Yes, we would.
In fact, the three of us can go in together. You
So creepy.
people. Forget it.
You know what I'm kind of realizing now? This behavior is only appropriate if you know that the guy is evil and is going to cause a problem. Like, if you actually treated somebody like this who was maybe socially anxious and just felt uncomfortable with the fact that these two guys were like, hey, can we help you? Hey. That would be kind of a creepy way to treat somebody at a free public event. Yeah, like when I've gone to free public events in like a park or a convention center downtown, that's not what it's like, usually. That's generally not what it's like. They weirded out the Jesus freak. Yeah. Well, they're Jehovah freaks. Now check this action out. Do we get to see the... Oh, no. I think I might have forgot to
follow him and make sure he leaves the premises.
So now stalk him and make sure that he leaves. What if this guy had a gun, by the way? This is what I always am like freaked out about when it comes to safety at these conventions. It's like this is their strategy to deal with irate people, but their strategy should probably be to call the police, because if somebody really is being irate and trying to get into this event under false pretenses, like, who's to say that they're not a mass shooter? Like, and they just don't really have any ability to do that. Like, they would definitely not have a gun, and they definitely are not told to have anything like that. I guess on an individual level, somebody could bring that. Yeah, this is how tone deaf they are, is they're like, this music makes us look cool, and the other guy look terrible.
I don't want him necessarily re-entering the building at some other point, but you may want to hold on a second to keep a little distance. I'm going to call our orders here.
Keep your distance. Stay half a block behind so you can duck under lampposts like a chase scene in a spy movie.
I got a call. This is Rick.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so... it's like Jason Bourne is trying to get into the Kingdom Hall. And Laura Linney is like, we have to stop this. Or that's not who's in those movies, is it? I always make that mistake. Whoever Pamela Landy is. Now, this gets into what I talked about in my Leaked Elder training. Psychologically, a cult, they strip away your ability to have like a fulfilling career outside of the group, right? But they're also very patriarchal. And so... I'm sure that there's a lot of dudes who would love to be a cop or a CEO or some other kind of grimy position where you can do morally dubious things. And this allows Jehovah's Witness elders to play act. And this is kind of them play acting as like being spies. They get to pretend to be important. They're marching through and they're like... What's that? Give me the update. All right, I'm a little busy right now. Can you send that? I'm going to delegate this to you. All right, thank you. And like, you are just under the impression that you're doing something incredibly important the entire time, when all you're really doing is free labor for a religion that's lying to you.
Well, we just dealt with a pretty irate person.
Okay.
The situation seems to be under control, but I want to give you all the details.
I tell you what, Rick, right now I'm on the move. If you can send me the details about him so that I can send it out to all the attendants.
What?
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I don't know what that means.
And good work, my brother. Thank you. Please keep me posted. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right.
I'm on the move. The eagle has left the nest. Repeat, the eagle has left the nest.
That's him. You gonna make the call? Sure.
This is Pequod, arriving shortly at LZ. Stand by.
Mari?
Mari? I don't know why you said that. Okay, so very interesting. We've got some apostate propaganda there. And yeah, all of that, I think, speaks to the like the shared alternate reality that a cult has to create, right? Because it's not just that you teach that apostates, like, don't listen to anybody who criticizes you. You have to create this entire fictional world where evil, scary people being manipulated by Satan, the devil himself, are trying to get after you. And so you need to kind of play act as a police officer and defend this world, this bubble that you're creating. And it's just all very strange and fake. I don't like it. I'm glad that somebody got it. Mario! I don't have any more leaked videos from the convention. But I did have another segment I was thinking of doing, but maybe we can vote on whether it's a good idea first, though. I do have to get to something that we love to do on the show, where I complain about YouTube.
Oh, happy day. All worldly complaining about YouTube.
Well, okay, first I'm going to complain about Arha Parka, but I just think that nobody really knows what you're talking about. You just keep saying things that don't make any sense. Like, you're not clarifying what you mean. Like, you called me naive, but then you didn't really explain why. So that's my first complaint, is that this person is just kind of confusing me. All right, so first thing, YouTube related. Because I'm kind of interested in these apostate fear-mongering videos, I'm finally going to re-release an old video of mine that I took down because it was so janky that it just bothered me. But it's my response to that David's Plain anti-apostasy talk. So I'm just going to resync the audio and upload that, because as it's bared out, that talk is really important to the organization's approach towards ex-members. And so I think it should exist on the channel, and you'll get to see a little arc of how my videos used to be, even jankier than they are now. Also, I've been releasing some snippets of Not a Cult, the novel I've been working on, if you want to look at community posts and stuff like that. And I also am going to be releasing a new video soon, hopefully tomorrow for patrons and members, and then Tuesday for the rest of the world. And it's the big project I've been working on for the last 8 weeks or so. So please stay tuned for that, like and subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, if you got a couple bucks a month and you think I should make more of this stuff, you can always chip in. But let's get to comments here. To Handroid Master. Hi, Jake. I saw your video on JW's PR from Total Outsider, who is diving down Byzantine Christian history rabbit holes, and came across your channel in the last couple of weeks. Hey! That is so cool. Thanks so much for saying that. I always hope that my stuff is understandable to outsiders. You were in prison for this? I'm very sorry to hear that. I hope that you know that, like, I think it's wrong that you were imprisoned for that. I don't think that anybody should be imprisoned for their faith. I am against totalitarianism and dictatorships and anybody that would imprison somebody for a difference of religion. And I'm also against people who, or groups that shun people because they criticize them. And that's my issue. I feel like there are people who have gone to prison because Watchtower has put them in harm's way. And more to the point, if Jehovah's Witnesses don't have the truth, then it's not worth going to prison for. It's worth going to prison for something that is founded in reality, but it is not worth going to prison for something that is false. Now, when it comes to, like, Russia, you may just end up in prison anyway. So maybe that's not even really worth saying, but that's why I do kind of tiptoe around that on the channel, because I don't want to give any questioning Jehovah's Witnesses the impression that I'm, like, making fun of the fact that people have gone to jail for this. Like, quite the opposite. I find it really, really upsetting to think that there are people who are in prison for something that not only isn't true, but is actively not giving members the whole truth about some of the problems facing the religion, including lawsuits against the governing body. Thank you to Karen Booth. Does anybody have interest in messy, bitchy drama that doesn't have to do with the XJW community? I try and avoid, kind of inter-community drama now. I can't say that was always the case, but I'm trying to grow up. But I saw this video pop up across my feed, and I haven't watched it yet, but I feel like I'm going to. And frankly, all I need is any validation at all. It's probably going to happen because I don't have any solid plans for the rest of the stream. Okay, good. All right, let me pull this up. And before we do that, there's a really good post from Larchwood, friend of the channel. Larchwood always does these wonderful deep dives on Jehovah's Witness stuff. And a few weeks ago, I talked about one of the deep dives they did that kind of poked a hole in Watchtower's traditional narrative of their own history. So that's the one on Charles Taze Russell. If you go back in the stream archives, you can watch that. But they did this post on the XJW subreddit, which is a cool little community. If you haven't checked it out, I mean, it's Reddit. It's messy. We're not all going to get along all the time. But in my experience, really, like, I had good experiences with the Liberati Facebook group and XJW Reddit. And those are really the two places that I found to be most useful. But anyway, Larchington/Larchwood says, for faders or others quietly questioning, this upcoming convention video delivers a crushing blow. Families and friends who might have tolerated limited contact with the fader/questioner despite concerns now face pressure to cut off contact immediately. And so they start out saying any safe space for honest questions or sharing negative experiences is eliminated entirely. And so the rest of this is gonna prove that point. I also say, also notice the flashy car that this apostate has. One is a 2-door sports car. Wait, really? Oh, I see what they're saying. Like, in this person's garage.
Lies. Garbage. How do you know if it's garbage if you haven't even read it? Listen.
That's going to be the quote on the back of Not a Call, by the way. Hey, before you call this garbage.
You need to talk with your elders. Because you need help. And if you don't speak to them, I will.
Wow. That's what you feel. I need help.
Yeah, he does seem to have, like, nice cars in his driveway, which point to this Watchtower narrative that the only reason why anybody would ever leave the group is because they are obsessed with materialism and seeking worldly possessions. It's really funny because I would say that me and my wife are in quite literally the exact same financial situation that we were in when we first got married. Like, it really hasn't changed much one way or the other. We don't have any nice things that we didn't used to have. So, like, it just hasn't. Ugh. Anyway. To Handroid Master, I'm going to answer this just because I don't know how long you're going to be on stream, and then we'll get back to Larchwood's post, and then I'll get to my petty drama. Or maybe it won't be. I don't know. So this is our person who's never been a JW, I believe. Totally unimportant and mundane question. How would you recommend one to politely yet firmly dissuade a JW from proselytizing at my door? They did that a couple weeks ago in my neighborhood. Yeah, they will definitely come back if you're polite, because anybody that says... Anybody that's just kind of kind and seems receptive, they'll come back and give it another shot. So what I would do is kindly and firmly say that you... how would you say it? Like, I wouldn't say I've looked at apostate stuff, but I would say I have looked at your religion, and I feel confident that it is not the truth. I don't want you to come back because I'm aware of child sexual abuse issues within the group. I would be specific, but you could also just say, please don't return. Like, that will stop them from coming back. But I would also give a reason that might stick in their minds a little bit. Okay, this person's going to have to go in timeout because they're being weird. Like, kind of threatening, creepy, in my opinion. Yeah, so please don't return is polite. But too polite is a return visit green light. I was distracted because that rhymed. But they are supposed to make a notation in their preaching records that this door is like a do not call. So you can say that, like, I would really rather that Jehovah's Witnesses not knock on my door. I'm confident that I don't want to visit from you. So please make a note of that. Please take my name or put my address down as somebody not to call on. Something like that. And they will write it down, and then it just depends on how good their actual record keeping is, which isn't always great. Yeah, they need to add you to the do not call list. I don't know why I couldn't just think of that word. Okay, so let's get back to Larchwood's post. So Larchwood is saying that faders, like people who are, let's say, physically and mentally out, they don't want to just announce, hey, I don't believe this anymore, disfellowship me, whatever, I don't care. They don't want to send a letter to the body of elders, but they just kind of want to, stop going to meetings and avoid all that drama, like we're not going to do later. What Larchwood is arguing, and we'll see if I agree, is that there's an increased pressure to not deal with that, even if it's your close family member or friend. If you get a whiff that somebody's acting like that, you should cut off contact immediately. So, negative stories are lies. Jehovah's Witnesses are reminded that those questioning and sharing of negative stories about the organization should be reported to the elders. The assumption built into all this is that anything negative said about the organization is a lie. But if that were truly the case and no negative stories were ever true, then the organization would, in effect, be perfect. And yet Jehovah's Witnesses are repeatedly told that the organization is imperfect, with imperfect men taking the lead. They say this a lot. This is the best imperfect organization on earth. I've even heard it said, this is the most perfect imperfect organization. And so then they cite this 2017 Watchtower that says that the faithful and discreet slave, the governing body, can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction, and Jesus did not tell us that his faithful slave would produce perfect spiritual food. That's because it didn't say anything about spiritual food, by the way. It just said food, but okay. The video is a reminder that a person can be considered an apostate and fully shunned without any formal removal from the group. This means social rejection happens before any judicial action. I think that's true. I think that's absolutely true. When I did a breakdown of the recent Watchtower that outlined their changes, such as they are, to disfellowshipping, they also changed marking and kind of give leeway to Jehovah's Witnesses to decide, I am going to mark this person because I think that they are bad association. And so that's just giving people carte blanche to shun people based on vibes almost. Maybe that's putting it too far, but that's kind of the sense I got. All right, Larchwood. Remove JW versus current JW. Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to cut off all social contact, including greetings with apostates, adherents who are still technically considered part of the group, but may greet those formerly removed from the group who are no longer considered adherents. And this is crazy. What is this article? A person is not considered to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses until he is baptized, right? That's true. They also say, interestingly, Jesus himself didn't cut off Satan straight away. In fact, JWs teach he lived under the same roof as Satan for nearly 2,000 years before casting him out of heaven in 1914, where Satan could then confine the spread of apostasy on earth. That's true. That's a really good point. And then this August 2024 Watchtower, I believe that's the one where they talk about disfellowshipping. He directed Christians never to accept such ones in their home, or even to greet them. Anyone who would welcome an apostate with a greeting would become a sharer in his wicked works. Yeah.
Little drive-by.
Aw, little drive-by with Paige. Jenny Bloom says maybe they'll eat themselves this way. Everyone's marking each other until they cannot function. It is the same principle that, like, in the same way that fascism is a self-defeating ideology, because the in-group keeps shrinking and shrinking because, first you cast out all the infidels and heretics, but then you have to consolidate power, and anybody who criticizes you has to be treated at that same level. And so the stability you have just weakens and weakens until it collapses under its own weight. So that's definitely possible. This video intensifies the control over Jehovah's Witnesses, and the human cost will be heartbreaking and isolation for many who still hoped to maintain family bonds or friendships despite differences in belief. For anyone still managing to maintain contact or some kind of relationship with an aging parent, this video will likely end it. Some of us will never see that relative again. It is truly disgusting. I can just say anecdotally for myself, I will notice that sometimes my parents will start to feel more comfortable texting me or reaching out. And then a video like this will come out and they'll go straight back to hard shunning for the next 6 months. So it is sort of like you have to reapply this salve every few months, otherwise it starts to wear off. Really strange. But I think they've got a good point. It really is like the second you start to hear this kind of talk against God's supreme leaders, you need to immediately report that person to the elders. And either they start saying the right things or they're cut off. And that's really all it is. That was a really good post. That's on the XJW subreddit. All right, let me tell you what this... I don't know if it counts as drama yet, because maybe I'll agree with it. But y'all ever heard of this channel called Mythvision? I know a lot of people have, because people bring it up. I don't really have anything against this channel. I also can't really say that I've watched a lot of it, but he does a lot of interviews with smart people who know things like Bart Ehrman or whatever. But I saw this video pop up on my feed, because I guess I'm subscribed to it. It says, why I'm leaving an online atheist cult. Now that's different than the title that it was yesterday. The reason why I was wanting to watch it actually was because it was called Why I'm Leaving the Online Atheist Cult. And I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this gonna be? Especially because just like atheism isn't a cult. It like not believing in God is a single position on a single issue. It doesn't inform anything else about the person. But I've always gotten kind of like anti-woke vibes from this channel, and I don't know if that's true or not. So I'm kind of curious, and we'll see. We'll see what he says. And again, maybe this is rude, but Derek Lambert, the host, this is a deeply personal and powerful episode of the Mythvision podcast. If he doesn't say so himself. And just right off the bat, I'm just iffy about this. I would say that like the thing that people like about this channel seems to be the guests that he has on, maybe more than Derek himself. I don't know if that's really true.
Just doing normal Chrissy things, ending people's careers, you know.
Doing normal Chrissy things and ending people's careers, you know.
Who the fuck is this? I have no idea who that was. Apparently,
My name is Derek Paul Joseph Lambert, and I'm leaving the online atheist cult pub.
Ooh, hang on. I need to speed this up so we don't get copyright dinged. But hey, free views, right?
Publicly today. In fact, happy birthday to me because I'm recording this video, and it's my 37th birthday. It's unfortunate that I haven't slept well in the past 4 days because of extreme drama from this community. While I can blame them, and I will, I share responsibility in this. But before I explain the reasons I will be leaving this extremely controlling cult, and also why I will be platforming my old friend Dr. Robert M. Price, I want to take you back into my life and share some experiences with you so you understand why I've come to this conclusion.
What? Did I miss something? What is this called exactly?
This cult publicly today.
Normal Chrissy things, ending people's careers, you know.
My name is Derek Paul Joseph Lambert, and I'm leaving the online atheist cult publicly today. In fact, happy birthday.
See, okay, he said it here. I'm leaving the online atheist cult today, and I'm just like, I don't know. I watch like Genetically Modified Skeptic, and there's like most of the hosts of The Line. A lot of them like don't agree on everything to begin with. So I'm just confused as to how that could be a cult. And then this first clip is from somebody I've never even heard of. I don't know.
Happy birthday to me because I'm recording this video, and it's my 37th birthday. It's unfortunate that I haven't slept well in the past 4 days because of extreme drama from this community. While I can blame them, and I will, I share responsibility in this. But before I explain the reasons I will be leaving this extremely controlling cult, and also why I will be platforming my old friend Dr. Robert.
Extremely controlling. Which, okay, let's keep in mind all the propaganda we just watched about the definitely for sure a cult.
And Price. I want to take you back into my life and share some experiences with you so you understand why I've come to this conclusion. So please stay tuned. And if you agree with my decisions, I seriously could use your help right now because people honestly are trying to destroy everything I built for making this public and for having Bob back. I've been threatened to be boycotted and people will literally attempt to destroy my livelihood and my wife's business, mvp-courses.com. I care about nothing more in this world than my children, Derek, Caleb, and Caden. I got a tattoo. And my beautiful wife, Ryan. Their names are on my arm. They're what those who attack me and attempt to destroy me are trying to hurt in my mind. I'm a fighter, and I can promise you I won't give up easy. And if this means...
this is so cringe so far. So far I hate this. So far, I'm sorry to Derek, but I'm just like, what are you talking about? Robert Price, I know who he's talking about. He's talking about this scholar, this Bible scholar. I think he's a New Testament scholar. And he became, like, he would show up, I think Lloyd Evans interviewed him. I know that this guy interviewed him, but he would show up everywhere. And he, you know, like, just kind of has normal beliefs that a lot of scholars have, but Robert Price has become this, like, I was canceled by academia for supporting Trump thing. Whereas, you know, maybe it's just because he made it his entire personality and talks about it constantly. But I remember these guys having a falling out. Like, I remember watching this video where Derek explained why he wasn't going to have this guy on his channel anymore, Robert Price. I don't know. Why does it matter? There's so many fucking Bible scholars. Why does this one guy matter? Like, if you're just, like, really friends with him in real life, who gives a shit? Like, just be friends.
Means scorch earth on everyone, on all the details about this community, and they need to be released for the world to know.
Boycotting is also not a cult tactic, by the way. Like, that's just capitalism, actually. It's supply and demand, and if people don't like your stuff, they won't buy it. And I'm no fan of capitalism. I'm just like, you know, I don't know that I could say that I'm boycotting Target because we also just haven't had money to, like, buy anything from Target in a long time. But, like, there is, but I'm also not going out of my way to go there like maybe I used to get furniture and stuff that was cheap because of their flip, like, political stuff I don't agree with. So it's just easy for me to be like, nah, I just won't go to Target. Is that a cult, or is that just like, I'm going to go to a different store instead?
We'll gladly do it for them. Let me take you back into my past briefly. I was born into a family with two wonderful parents, Mike and Patty. They were raised as Christians. Dad was a Roman Catholic, Mom was a Pentecostal holiness person. My father was often deployed overseas, being he was a Green Beret in the Special Forces, a hardcore military guy.
What does this have to do?
Church on Sundays, bribe us with some buffet.
What does this have to do with you leaving the online atheist cult?
Here we go. This was the best memories of the start of my initiation into Christianity. I eventually really had a conversion experience in the 6th grade at Cornerstone Christian Academy in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I had a profound experience at an altar call receiving Jesus into my life. I was serious about my commitment to this faith, and over the many years, between juggling girlfriends and middle and high school to partying with the rest of the kids, drinking alcohol,
just sneaking in brags left and right, juggling girlfriends.
I joined a house church early on, and they believed they had the...
I guess I feel like I'm poisoning the well, and I'm prejudging, but just immediately the vibe is off with this video.
They were King James onlyist, and we all spoke in tongues. Some of them even prophesied. This was a very charismatic movement.
That stuff is crazy,
Even
man.
my pastor was a female named Ellie.
Like, okay, Jared of Heliocentric. Is that dude in a cult? He's an atheist. He kind of seems like he's in the opposite of a cult to me. Like, and he was a Pentecostal. He did the speaking in tongues thing. Like, what does this have to do with anything?
I really trusted her as a spiritual authority. She once told me Jesus told her that he was coming back before she died. And it's been over 12 years since she's passed away, as I'm making this video. As I went through high school, I met a girl who would turn out to be my wife, the love of my life, Ryan. And she was pregnant at 16 while I was 17, turning 18. I started a landscaping company while I was still in high school and worked with my hands since graduating.
Wow, this guy is one of the most amazing people I've ever heard of. You know, all these accomplishments and so many girlfriends.
Here I was turning 18, and I'm a young man who doesn't know shit about life, and I'm about to have a child and get married. I'm extremely lucky I married Ryan because she's literally the best thing I could have asked for as a man. For the next 10 years, I went from job to job, working with my hands. I also would join different Christian denominations and eventually went to college.
Okay, quite frankly, I'm going to skip ahead until we get to what he's talking about.
comparative mythology helped me read the Bible differently, and I truly felt a burden begin to lift when I no longer believed hell was a literal place, but a myth. When I personally didn't believe
Whoa, dude, what if he did find Jesus again? That would actually be nuts.
in the doctrine of the flesh being wicked, and even when I started questioning other stories, if they've ever happened at all. At this point, I'm 27 years old, I'm 37 today, and I'm working for a construction called HBC. As a usual extreme person that I am.
Let's see, like, full cards on the table. Derek Lambert, way more successful than me, stronger, and hotter. Let's just acknowledge in every way. So I feel like whatever criticism I have, he'll probably never see it, but also I don't, like, he'll be fine.
I really excelled at my craft and worked up to becoming a supervisor. This job was a traveling career where
Oh
I was
yeah,
away
I'm
from
also
my wife
an
and kids
atheist.
for
Good
sometimes
point.
2 weeks at a time.
I'm
and
trying
only
to learn
got a
about
few days
this
with them
cult
before I could
I'm
go back
in.
on the road. During my days out in some country field in North Carolina, South Carolina, or Georgia, I would listen to countless podcasts with Bluetooth in one ear and many crew members, if you will, that I'm managing dozens of men in the other. They were running heavy equipment for me.
Okay.
All over the United States. Really worldwide, but the people I could get into rehab were the United States. And working from home allowed me a lot of free time to work on Mythvision.
Okay, so he's also like a recovering addict. He's talked about that on the channel, and that's something I've always really liked hearing him talk about. I definitely find really valuable. So I'm not trying to downplay what he's saying. I'm just like, this dude's whole thing is being an atheist and having a YouTube channel, and he's making this video apparently because some person criticized him, and it's a little weird to be almost 10 minutes in and like we have no idea why this is a cult or what he's talking about or anything.
My wife Ryan would maintain the addiction channel for me. I didn't even have to. And I would record shows mostly with Bob. COVID struck and I was laid off for the first time in my life. I applied for unemployment and had to wait around 9 months to get paid. Mythvision was making income through monetization and I wondered if I could do this full time. I'm extreme and I know if I put my mind to something, I can really move mountains.
He's
So I put all my
extreme, he
eggs into Mythvision and worked my ass off. We also relocated back to Fayetteville, North Carolina, where my wife and I were raised. Just 45 minutes from where Dr. Robert and Price lives to this day. We really hit it off, and I learned more in my life than I ever have before. He literally helped me learn on how to think, not what to think. This is why I loved Bob, and I still do. He would share hundreds of ideas with me that he held pertaining to the Bible, and I would discard some and consider others. The man is truly a living encyclopedia. I also started building relationships with many other scholars along the way, as my interviews on Mythvision reflect. You just go look. Some of these scholars are Christians, and others are not. If they had great insights, it didn't matter. I wanted to hear them. I didn't care to only listen to atheists. Now let's cut to the chase. Around March of 2000.
No, that's the thing you can't say 9 minutes and 53 seconds into a video. You have missed you've missed the train. The cut to the chase train left a while back.
2022, a serious situation happened with Dr. Robert and Price and myself. A group of individuals, one might call them a mob, literally attacked Dr. Robert and Price on Twitter, and Bob saw the exchange. He was on Twitter. He could see every comment. These individuals had found that Bob had written articles and comments about various topics not related to Bible years before I had even met him. I didn't realize what kind of group of individuals these were, and I want to warn you that if people ever do something like this to you, this may prove helpful wisdom in a case you find yourself in a similar situation like this. These individuals were all white people. Some were from the trans community, and others I wasn't so sure. But one thing was for sure. They came for blood. They were extremely tough.
Whoa, what the fuck are we even saying? These were all white people, some were trans, and they came for blood. And they were criticizing things that this Bible scholar wrote before Derek was friends with him personally. I don't know. I mean, why is it a problem if a scholar wrote from their perspective, and he hasn't even said what the criticism was, but I'm assuming they found whatever he wrote to be problematic, maybe relating to his affinity for Trump. Why is that bad? I mean, isn't that kind of the entire point of having some free thinkers skepticism channel? Like, you should be skepticism of your own biases most of all. Those are the things that you need to challenge. So I'm just like, what is this?
Toxic, aggressive, and derogatory. A girl named Jessica, Heathen Queen, Chrissy Hansen, a girl named Karaya, I believe, and others, many others. They ganged up on me, attacking me for having a racist, transphobic bigot on my platform. You see...
Okay, well, Robert Price is a racist, transphobic bigot. He has those beliefs. And, I mean, I'm a small YouTuber, so this, I truly don't mean this with any shade, but I've never heard of these people he mentioned. And I do like to watch atheist YouTube, so stuff like that will come across my feed pretty consistently. I'll probably check out their stuff after this out of sheer curiosity. And I have no doubt that this guy's had like annoying online harassment, because literally anybody who makes content online will get that. Like, I get it a little bit, and I'm assuming that it scales as you get like a bigger channel. And so I'm not trying to discount that, but I'll be real with you. This seems like a guy who just kind of was too online and overly focused about what like 3 or 4 people were saying about him. And that, down that path, only madness lies. Like, I mean, that is, people have really lost their goddamn minds over that. Ethan Klein of H3 being a great example of that right now, where he just, his entire personality has become, name searching himself and freaking out about his critics. And it's like, the H3 podcast has millions of subscribers. That dude is more famous than God. He's got more money than Jesus Christ. I mean, none of them necessarily have any money, but you know what I'm saying. Like, and I have made this mistake as a very small YouTuber. But yeah, it's like cancel culture, but it's like, listen, dude, I have heard of you. I have not heard of your critics. So maybe you're paying attention to people who, like, maybe you shouldn't have this much of an outsized impact on your own self-perception, right? And it's not even about him, right? It's about his fiend, who isn't just some guy, right? He's a scholar who Derek's bringing on to use his bona fides to bolster his own platform. Like, hey, you should trust Mythvision because I have scholars on, like Robert Price. And Robert Price is a fucking not nice guy. He's a crazy person. And, like, dude, be friends with your friends. And if you disagree with him on that stuff, then yeah, like real life one-on-one conversations are the best way to change somebody's mind about anything. That's what anybody, like all the books on cults, all the experts say that it's the best way to get somebody out is they may be shunning you, but you just let them know that you're there, whatever. And obviously this seems pretty fucking different from a cult because he's still friends with this guy, and the only problem that seems to have happened in his life is that when he has him on his YouTube channel, he gets yelled at by some people, and he hasn't even given a good reason as to why he shouldn't be, because why is this fucking guy so beyond criticism?
See, I was unaware of the complexity of things politically and socially in this neck of the woods.
Yep.
When you start entering the atheist world, you find out a lot more that you didn't know about how people are. People in this orbit online hold certain ideas that I wasn't familiar with, and honestly, in some cases, still don't buy into. Here I was getting literally coerced into removing Bob or being canceled. I fought back.
Oh, this is such horseshit. This is such horseshit. And this is why I just raised an eyebrow when I saw this, because, like, I remember this video about him not having Robert Price on his channel anymore, and because I'd watched some of his videos, like, I had enough of an understanding of that, like, they were actually kind of tight IRL, or, like, at least had, like, you know, met up in person, and that he was an important part of the channel beyond just being somebody who he would have on as a guest to interview, like Elaine Pagels or Bart Ehrman or something. And he made this video where he threw down the card that, you know, I keep in my pocket at all times, the woke card. But he threw it down hard and was like, I will stand up for my trans friends or whatever. And now that the algorithm clearly disincentivizes progressive voices and all of the money is in being like anti-woke, whatever, he's having this heel turn where he's saying, I was coerced by 3 random fucking trans people no one's ever heard of on Twitter into not being my friend anymore with Robert Price. Like, this is the lamest shit I've ever seen.
In their minds, they are the pure ones and everyone else is wicked. I personally didn't agree with their interpretations of Bob, with their dehumanizing labels like racist, bigot, transphobe, etc. I made a video, I made it clear that my channel wasn't going to buckle to this pressure and that we didn't have Bob on to talk about his politics. You see, my goal isn't to defend Bob's political views. Rather, it's to show
this
that Bob
is him doing that. It is him doing that. This video is a defense of Bob's political views because you're saying that it does not disqualify him as a serious academic. But it's not like people criticize Robert Price because of stuff that he just like thinks. Like, Robert Price uses his academia to try and create pseudo-scientific arguments that are fucking racist and insane. Like, that's why he gets criticized, is because he's not a serious academic. Maybe at one point he was, but his lack of ability to apply critical thinking in these other areas and kind of wandering outside of his immediate understanding, like, has kind of revealed him to be a crackpot. Like, he's a kook.
Bob is a master on Bible, and most people in the world know how to compartmentalize the two. Another important fact is that Bob doesn't talk about his politics on Mythvision. So I didn't understand why these people were trying to destroy Bob and me. This is where the rubber hits the road. After my video expressing that we are not deplatforming Bob,
this really is Joe and Mika vibes.
I was approached by Dr. Joshua Bowen and Megan Lewis that they would have to disassociate from me, have nothing to do with me if I didn't remove Bob. I was also threatened by others that they would email academics to pressure them not to join me on my platform and to keep distance because of Robert Price's right-wing conservative writings, which had nothing to do with Mythvision anyways.
I think that shit sucks. Like, I think it's just weird and stalkery and parasocial to do that, just because, like, man, there are bigger problems in the world. Just, if you don't like a channel, stop watching it. I mean, Mythvision is a fairly big channel, but I mean, there are channels with millions of subscribers that do way more harmful shit than have a guy on sometimes who sucks. Like, I do think that response is maybe disproportionate, and, like, I can see why it would stress him out. But this reaction is, like, so lame. I think this is so lame.
Like,
I'm very disappointed in this as a guy who used to watch this channel.
This is sense. He spoke about the black community and its struggles, giving his right-wing antics, which I've heard all my life growing up in North Carolina. To me, he was guilty of his experience and environment.
Yeah,
not
so
that he had
you're
any hate or actual
inoculated
racism
to
towards
it.
blacks. But that isn't accurate for this crowd of Puritans. No.
He just said blacks, too, which...
They demand blood. I'm not exaggerating. Bob also wrote on trans materials and expressed to me that he doesn't think children should be subject to these transitioning experiments. Well, neither do I. This is transphobia to people in the trans community. What didn't make sense to me...
Yes, because it's disingenuous. It's not fucking real. That nobody thinks that, like, children should be mutilated and undergo experiments. Okay, that's a straw man argument. You are accepting the right-wing framing, and you are not conceding to what you supposedly care about in this entire enterprise that you've started, and clearly labeled as an enterprise, by the way. Like, the whole thing is that actual experts in the field of endocrinology and pediatrics, they have come to a scholarly consensus on the best way to deal with gender dysphoria and stuff like that with kids. And by the way, it is not surgery. It just isn't. Like, this just isn't a problem. And, like, it's in the same way that people will freak the fuck out about trans athletes when there's only like 3 or 4 in the entire country that even exist, and you're like making your entire presidential campaign about something that genuinely is not an issue. It just isn't. It's an issue for like 4 people, and that is it. And like, ironically, it seems like 4 people annoyed him enough to, I don't know, kind of show his ass as a grifter, in my opinion.
Was that the person, Chrissy Hansen, who was behind boycotting and trying to destroy Bob, has also had friendly streams with Bob.
Right.
And
Right.
Bob has
Because
always
this is the
complimented
fucking thing. Like, you know what the number one recommendation is? Just using someone's preferred pronouns and just making them feel accepted, right? Like, that's not actually a problem. And like, as somebody who, I mean, if this guy's going to run down his whole resume, I've worked as a medical assistant for a long time, and I worked with some surgeons, and you know, I was their surgery scheduler for a while. We had young men, teenage boys, come in all the time for gynecomastia. If you don't know what gynecomastia is, it is breasts in males, and so the doctors would operate and they would remove it because it was, you know, it is uncomfortable, it's embarrassing, it's not, you know, it's not true to their self-image. That is gender-affirming care on a teenager. Now, what? Should we just not do that? Should we just not do that? No, because they don't think that trans people are people. They think that, well, that's a boy and he shouldn't have breasts, so of course it makes sense to remove them. But it doesn't make sense for a trans person to get the medical care that they need because they don't view them as people who deserve medical care. And they also seem to have no fucking understanding of how the healthcare in the United States of America works. It is so long and drawn out to get anything done. If you need to get like a surgery, they're not like rushing trans kids straight from the fucking elementary school classroom to the operating room. Let me tell you something. Do these people not have fucking insurance? Have they just never had healthcare at all? It's not like that. Nobody's just willy-nilly getting their dick chopped off. These people are fucking stupid. And like the fact that this guy has now fully accepted this, I'm sure he'll get, well, I guess I'm not sure of this, but maybe he'll get an influx of fans. Let's see how long it takes before this guy has Candace Owens on his channel.
Chrissy as brilliant, a bright thinker. Bob welcomed everyone and loved all. I swear to God, if there is one, everyone who attacked Bob is guilty as sin, and I'm the biggest sinner in all of this. But we will get there. So I saw an image of a black mother crying for her son, Mike Brown.
No. By the way, nobody thinks that you're the biggest sinner in all of this. They are trying to appeal to you because they thought you were a good person who wouldn't want to have someone like that on your channel. But you do want to have someone like that on your channel. So they don't want to watch it anymore. And that's happening constantly all day, every day. The sheer amount of people who do not watch my channel is astounding. It's amazing how many people just don't watch it. And that's not because they're in a cult. It's because there's a lot of fucking YouTube channels out there. And the second I do anything that annoys them, they've got a million other options. And that's just the gamble that you take when you're trying to make a YouTube channel. And especially if you're trying to be authentic. Like if you are your authentic self, that sometimes that's going to rub against people and they've got other options, so they're going to go somewhere else. And that's not persecution. It's not a call. And I'm getting worked up about this because it really fucking sucks to have my actual experience of being in a real high control group weaponized into and turned into, I don't like being yelled at for a thing I'm doing by people on the internet who I could, if I wanted to, just not fucking pay attention to. Are you going to tell me that the people trying to deplatform him have anywhere near the number of subscribers that Mythvision has?
A bright thinker. Bob welcomed everyone and loved all. I swear to God, if there is one, everyone who attacked Bob is guilty as sin, and I'm the biggest sinner in all of this. But we will get there. So I saw an image of a black mother crying for her son, Mike Brown, who was shot and killed by police, where Bob said that her son...
this is fucking bullshit. He just doesn't. He doesn't. This is what, the governing body. We love you all very much. But they can't. No, they don't. They don't love people who leave the group. They don't love gay people or trans people, certainly. They don't love, they don't love people in Africa as much as they love people in America. They just don't, because they treat them worse. And you can't just fucking say this. I know that you are his friend, and so you know that he can be nice interpersonally to you, but that's just that doesn't mean anything.
Her son was a thug criminal.
And see, right now, I'm losing subscribers because I'm reacting to this instead of, I don't know, something that people actually want to see. But I don't know. I'm kind of having fun.
This was unsettling for me because the mom was crying. And I could imagine my mom crying if I was shot and killed, even if it was during criminal activity. I have experience. Bob was accused of racism because he used the term thug with a black man in an image. I approached Bob about this and told him that they are saying you are racist because of your use of this word. Bob immediately told me what the word meant to him and why he used it. My only response at that time was...
Oh, he didn't mean it in a racist way. That means that he's not racist. Racism is just only about the words you use. It's not about the kind of world you're trying to create with your vote and your money and your platform. It's not about that at all. It's just about a word that if you can just clarify why you used it, then it wasn't racist. See?
That it just seemed unempathetic and heartless to people, and then he should apologize so we can move forward. However, Bob said, hell no, I'm not bending the knee to the woke mob. I knew I was in trouble. I didn't agree with Bob's comment on this image, and he made a joke about Washington Redskins.
Mob. Fuck off with it. It's like he got a playbook that, produced by Tim Pool and Dave Rubin to be here's how to become an anti-woke grifter. And he just is saying all of the things. Like, what the fuck? First, Anna Kasparian, now Derek Lambert.
Should be renamed the Savages. However, when I asked him,
Well,
he literally told
Bob.
me I was joking.
Don't
I
bend
guess
your knee
comedy
to the
even gets
broke
canceled
Bob.
these
How
days.
about that?
The best analogy that comes to mind is this. Imagine someone walks up to you, slaps you in your face, spits in your face, and then they demand that you apologize to them.
Hey, they didn't do that, though, did they? They didn't spit in your face and slap you in the face. They said mean tweets to you that you didn't like, and that's pretty fucking different.
And they still demand that to this day because you wrote words about things years ago which they find offensive. Bob didn't want anything to do with this crowd. He saw them. He saw them on Twitter. He saw their behavior.
Yeah, I bet he didn't want anything to do with trans people. I'll fucking bet he didn't.
How they attacked him, derogatory, inflammatory, dehumanizing, labels. They were absolutely atrocious.
He ran out of
And the way
fingers
they
he could have
attacked
gone
me
on.
Was fucking
But there's only so
bullshit.
many fingers.
And I would never treat any human in this world that way. I cannot tell you how intense this behavior was, not only to Bob, but to myself. Again, Bob didn't want anything to do with this crowd, and I don't blame him. Looking back, I should have followed his lead. You will see why shortly.
Yeah, you
Here's
should have
where
been a
things get
follower
very
of
tricky,
Bob.
because those who sided with Bob in all of this just think I buckled under pressure and have zero backbone. And now those on the left now think I just deplatformed Bob.
Those on the left, where is this guy? I assume in the center, where all the reasonable people are. The reasonable thing to do is to have no positions on anything. I'm sure that won't disproportionately help one side and hurt the other.
I was forced to make the right decision. By the way, those are the exact words they used. A trans person in the community literally said, they forced me to make the right decision.
Yeah.
Forced. I was so compelled.
Yeah,
Here's the truth. Here's the
right.
truth. I was so compelled by this group and its demands originally, and their threats to destroying what I built, that all I could think of was my family or Bob.
Dog, that is your fault. That's your fault. And I've done this too, where I've like really let a couple people who kind of come at you on social media or inundate you with emails or whatever. Like it's easy to just get focused on that, but like you can't. Like this guy's got videos that have millions of views. This guy's got, I think, over like 200,000 subscribers, right? Like, if you are focusing on a handful of people criticizing you versus your overwhelming success, that is a you problem. You have lost the plot. And it's cringe to be doing this shit. I cannot even imagine how this goes on for this long. What the fuck? Oh, let's skip ahead. Whoa, okay, just like I'm leaving this call.
5 elders to have them correct me. There was no allowing me to respond. I tried. I felt like they had no room for really investigating the truth, and they made it clear that they weren't interested in to learn from me, to hear what I had to say. What mattered was the Protestant men before them, like John Calvin, John Knox, Jonathan Edwards, the list goes on. And that was the theology they preferred. I knew I wasn't at home with this church, so I left, and they sent me and my wife excommunication letters.
Where's the power? A call is built on an imbalance of power, where some people, usually just one, but depending on how hierarchical it is, like the Pentecostal church, maybe your church elders have a lot of power, right? And you, the person questioning the religion, don't have any power. And so you are subject to the shunning, right? But these people have convinced themselves that a tiny minority of people on the internet have all the power. And this guy, who literally has more power than the trans people who are personally annoying him, they somehow have power over him. And it's just like that is just the opposite of reality. You have a big successful YouTube channel and can get famous scholars to come on and talk. And presumably they cannot, okay? So you are the powerful person in this dynamic. It's not a cult, okay? It's just that some people think that you're full of shit or that your channel sucks. And that's like, who cares? Who cares? Unless you've already bought into this framing. Unless you've already bought into it. But this is, and I'm not calling Derek Lambert fascist, but the fascist, the entire central element of it is that your enemy is existential and strong and all-powerful, but also they're so weak that they're not worth human dignity, and it's not a big deal if we destroy them all. You have this supremely strong enemy who's also supremely weak, and you saw this with Jewish people in World War II, and, frankly, you do see it with trans people now, and immigrants, and anybody who is just not totally sucking up to the cult. And it's like, does Derek at no point realize that everything he's saying is compatible with MAGA? Like, this is just the Republican platform, everything he's saying. And they have all the power right now. They've got the presidency and the Supreme Court and Congress and the Senate. So not only does he have a more popular YouTube channel, but his ideology is more popular and has all of the power. So what the fuck kind of like brave stance is this? That it's like, I stand with the people who have all the power right now. This is the this really sucks. This sucks way worse than I thought it was going to.
They never tried to destroy us. They didn't chase. This cult was pretty serious. For example, if I didn't make it to church on Sunday, which they called the Sabbath, an elder would appear at my home and ask where I was and why I didn't show up, because that's a sin. Why did you sin? This online cult is worse, and I'm about to get into why. Again.
No, shut the fuck up. That just isn't right. If you stopped posting for a while, your fans would ask you where you were, and you wouldn't think that it was cult-like, right? That's not the thing that makes it cult. Derek, how many fucking episodes of this show have you done?
Extreme political views. Both have extreme. One can publish, one's not allowed. The community doesn't allow differing people to have different opinions about these things. Pretty crazy. And my channel's not even about politics or any of that. It's just not. It's Bible. It's knowledge. It's history. And it helps people see the Bible differently. By the way, one comment. Bob's a perfect
differently. It helps people see the Bible differently. But, like, what is his stance anymore? Does he believe the Bible is true?
Stone for conservatives. You would think logistically a wise move for people who want to see deconversion happen from people who are on the right, conservative Christians. If he's a Trump supporter or a conservative, wouldn't you think they would listen to him a little more and maybe actually gravitate toward him being a process, a stepping stone toward the direction you want? No. The common sense leaves the brain because they have a purity cult mentality. A dog.
No, you fucking idiot. Oh my god. Well, if I really wanted to reach Jehovah's Witnesses, wouldn't I have a Jehovah's Witness co-host on my show? No, because I would constantly have to be like, I'm sorry, I mean, I know it sounds a little harsh, but, and I would have to, like, what, let them preach Jehovah's Witness stuff at my audience, stuff that I firmly believe is wrong, and that has not just ruined my own life, but the lives of people way less fortunate than me. This is so fucking stupid.
Dogma you must stick to, and who we're allowed to promote, who we're allowed to talk to online. They act like he's dangerous. Far from it. My experience tells me he is a breath of fresh air when it comes to Bible and the knowledge he spews, and he knows how to do that well.
When it comes to Bible. Take a look at Bible, Michael.
Now, here's why. Within the past few months, really since the beginning, I've tried to rekindle my relationship with Bob, but really...
Maybe around January 2020.
He was very important. I wanted him to know that, and that he never actually harmed me, other than my feeling that he did when he wouldn't apologize. But was it really to me? So some groups will claim he has harmed them deeply. Maybe they are hurt. But these are the same people who are also deeply hurt.
But no, he didn't. Even though he is an academic with a massive platform and more respect than randos on the internet, no, he's actually an innocent victim in all this. And all of the writing that he's done that racist psychopaths have used to bolster their own arguments, that's not really germane to anything that we do on the Mythvision
channel. For misgendering someone. Let me give you a real example. I personally have had this experience.
This is going to be a really good example.
Conference hosted by my friend Thomas Westbrook, where I met another great guy, Stephen Woodford. Rationality Rules. We were in the hotel lobby chatting, and while I was speaking about a story, I guess I accidentally misgendered someone. I didn't know what I did. I come from a world where men are boys and they have penises, and women have vaginas and can give birth.
For fuck's sake. Is Rationality Rules going to end up being the, like, lib in this conversation? I kind of stopped watching his channel. Did he, come around on stuff? He was kind of, I don't know. He kind of was giving me current Derek Lambert vibes when I tried to watch Rationality Rules channel, but now it sounds like he's based Rationality Rules.
This is all so new and honestly strange to me. I cannot remember if it was a she, he, or they. The person flipped the fuck out on me. I was embarrassed, and Stephen Woodford looked at me feeling bad. He knew that this was embarrassing, and he looked at me. My wife Ryan wanted to whoop their ass because it was so embarrassing and bad. All that to say...
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have just thrown my wife under the bus and said that she wanted to beat up a trans person because they misgendered. I probably wouldn't have said that on my channel, but, you know, this is such horseshit. Like, nobody... Yeah, okay. If you misgender somebody, there's that chance that they're gonna lash out at you because it's rude, but, like, dude, again, I've worked in doctor's offices and I've called somebody on the phone and they were not trans. I just couldn't tell by their voice, or I misspoke and said sir instead of ma'am. And they freaked out on me and they were cisgender. Ugh. Like, this is just human behavior. Sometimes if someone's having a bad day and if you call them by the wrong name or say sir instead of ma'am, they just get mad at you. But every trans person I've ever talked to, it's just like, it happens. Obviously, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but as long as someone kind of, corrects themselves and gets it right the next time, it's not a big deal. Like, yeah, man, nobody expects, like, everybody in the world to know the most, I don't know, woke academic language all the time. But he's just like, I was just a poor little innocent country boy who grew up when only boys had penises, and then I said the wrong thing to a trans person, and she was so mean that my wife wanted to beat her up, and now I have no choice but to let a MAGA race fucking scientist onto my channel.
Say, are they overreacting and making this much bigger than it should be? If so, then why is their tactic to attack and accuse rather than build up and help change? Let's get right to what happened recently that really makes me have a revelation. I had a revelation about
Whoa, he had a revelation by Jesus Christ.
Recently, I did a stream with a very good friend I know, John F. White, who has a channel called Ford on YouTube.
Wait, what?
Recently, I did a stream with a very good friend I know, John F. White, who has a channel called Ford on YouTube.
Ford? The F, by the way, stands for fuck machine.
Ancient myths. I posted the video on my Facebook group, and Chrissy Hansen, the same person who was behind Bob, right, commented that he, John F. White, was associated with white supremacists. I'm not sure if they said he was one or just associated with. Huge accusation. Here is Chrissy again, accusing.
This comment was 5 hours ago, and it has 0 likes, okay? So this clearly is not somebody who, like, ratioed him. He's just personally obsessed with this one person. I don't know who the fuck this Chris, whoever the hell is. Chris... Fuck Machine White? John White. Who's John F. White? University of the Arts, London. Books by Jonathan F. White. No! What you didn't know about listening could fill a book. Leadership, what? That can't be the same guy. What's his stuff on academia.edu? A contemporary tradition of translation of locative... What? I don't see anything about this, but this guy's got a really generic name. This seems like a case where Derek should have just ignored this one person that annoys him. Shit, sorry, guys. I just realized I wasn't even showing that on the screen. I don't even know how that happened. I'm so sorry. I was looking up stuff on this. I couldn't find anything about the white supremacy thing.
That he, John F. White, was associated with white supremacists. I'm not sure if they said he was one or just associated with. Huge accusation. Here is Chrissy again, accusing, labeling, destroying others' reputations. She was one of the masterminds behind the initial Bob Price situation. She has done tons of damage to many people's reputations, like Dave Allen, where you can hear it directly from their own mouth that they like to destroy people.
Just doing normal Chrissy things, ending people's careers,
Ending people's careers,
Literally from her.
That looks like a trans person in their 20s, and this grown man with a wife and kids is having a fucking conniption.
Own mouth. She loves doing this. She's toxic. Really, really stay away, honestly. Okay. She has done this with Richard Carrier and has played a major role in academics online, not passing Dr. Richard Carrier's articles and trying to run around destroying him for past allegations.
How do you know that? How do you know that the reason why Richard Carrier isn't respected by academics is because of this one random trans... Like, this is the most fucking psychotic... Like, this is fascist logic. It's like there's a nefarious... It's the Jews, it's the secret Jews who are stopping my research from being produced. It's like, Richard Carrier just kind of isn't that respected because it goes against the consensus, and his entire thing is sort of based on... I mean, we don't have time to get into Richard Carrier, but it's like... he seems to be doing pretty fucking well for himself, all things considered. He's doing fine. He's a guy who believes that Jesus never existed and that he was only a myth. And to me, I just think he fails the Occam's razor test a little bit. And also, yeah, like, now, here's the thing, Derek, is I'm having to censor myself because I'm like, if you ever saw this, I'm a smaller YouTube creator who just brought up, fascism, and you're going to be like, okay, so my biggest hater in the world, alt-worldly, said that I'm literally a Nazi who hates Jewish people. Like, this is the kind of person that now, like, Derek is, and he's beefing with a random Twitter person, and it's caused him to be open about his right-wing views. That's exactly what's happening. Is his block button broken? Truly. Truly. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Can I tell you something? If I had as many subscribers and views as this guy had, I would thank the good Lord every day. I'd start believing in God, too. Not really. Because I wouldn't sell out like this dude.
Never charged with anything. Accusations. If there's truth to them, there was no charge, but they love to do this. And in fact, I think some of the reasons...
What? What? Was Richard Carrier accused of, like, being a perv?
Really, stay away, honestly. She has done this with Richard Carrier and has played a major role in academics online, not passing Dr. Richard Carrier's articles and trying to run around destroying him for past allegations where he was never charged with anything. Accusations. If there's truth to them, there was no charge, but they love to do this. And in fact...
They love to do this. Whomst? The online atheist cult. So far, he's only identified one fucking member of this cult, and it's like someone that no one's ever heard of who just annoys him personally.
In fact, I think some of the reasons he's not getting peer-reviewed material through is because there is a real thing going on where Chrissy's in the ear of these academics and they're spreading rumors and everyone's talking shit behind the scenes. I'm an honest believer this isn't a conspiracy because I've spoken to scholars who I'm not going to name names who have actually said this. And I'm telling you, it's sick how deep this shit goes.
They can't because, like, irony. I can't think of this YouTuber's name. I'm subscribed to her. She did this really good video on how all humor is inherently political because, like, irony in particular is sort of a shared language. Let me see if I can find it. I just watched it not that long ago. Irony, political. Oh, yeah, okay. It's, Olivia's son, Liz son via. I watched this video a couple days ago. It's really, really good. Your humor is inherently political. Good video. But he doesn't share his language, so he's just like, wow, this person literally is out here ruining careers. And his evidence is... two of the most frequent guests on his channel have also been personally annoyed by this person.
So much dirt that this person does behind the scenes, like hours of audios, every private message that they say. Like this is so much. Chrissy is honestly behind so many issues online.
But
and then Chrissy makes this accusation about my friend John F. White. And I know John. And Dr. Kip Davis believes Chrissy. So I called John with these accusations.
What are you talking about? You are like 18 layers deep into fucking drama that nobody cares about, my guy. You're crashing out.
And I befriended him. Once he tells me that she is lying and has been lying about this for several years, spreading this misinformation on WhatsApp, Twitter, Reddit, and other platforms.
This guy's
John
losing his goddamn
sends
mind.
me a 12-minute
Is this Crystal Skull vodka container? I guess not. It's like a decanter. I thought this was the Dan Aykroyd vodka brand, and I'm like, damn, this guy's really like into some conspiracy stuff.
On WhatsApp that nails the coffin shut. But Kip, he doesn't know John. He's still listening to Chrissy. Chrissy's still in his ear, probably right now, even to this day.
Chrissy
doubled down.
is the president
a picture
of the
with a
United
logo
States.
on it.
Chrissy is the most powerful person on the internet. No, you don't know who this person is. Like, what has happened to this person? Someone needed to talk this guy off the ledge, but it seems like his friends or his wife, whose first instinct upon misgendering somebody was to beat the shit out of them. Richard Carrier, kind of mixed bag of a pseudo-academic, and Robert Price, the crustiest, oldest MAGA guy. Like, these are his friends, I guess.
That one of these members is wearing an Odinic rights badge, one of them, in a photo. The claim from Kip and Chrissy is that supposedly this guy John is in the picture. But he's not. That was all
What
bullshit.
is this?
John made a video on YouTube explaining
This
this on
is
his channel.
Ethan Klein as.
Chrissy is trouble, so I had to block this person. They were caught lying red-handed, and poor Kip is caught up thinking there was some truth to this accusation.
Wake up,
She's been
Ethan.
doing this for years. It dawned on me that Chrissy always did this, and she did
Yes.
this with my friend Bob. It was like
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, you're in the skeptic community, right? Like, I think that a lot of atheists have a certain level of respect for Christopher Hitchens, right? But like Alex O'Connor and Genetically Modified Skeptic have both made videos kind of acknowledging that, but also criticizing a lot of his right-wing reactionary beliefs. Like Christopher Hitchens was initially a supporter of the Iraq War and George W. Bush. And I mean, it's funny because like I obviously knew nothing about atheism as a Jehovah's Witness, but I was always a comedy nerd. And so I knew Christopher Hitchens as the dumb shit who wrote the Women Aren't Funny article that caused all this, you know, backlash from Kristen Wiig and Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and all these lady comedians. But, you know, that doesn't necessarily color everything he did. I guess for some people, I don't have any personal affinity for Christopher Hitchens, so I don't care. But my point is that atheists can hold these ideas in their head where, like Seth Andrews has talked about this on The Thinking Atheist, where Richard Dawkins' stuff was really important to him in deconverting him, but now he disagrees a lot with Richard Dawkins on trans issues specifically. And why can't this guy do it? Why can't this guy just accept that, well, you know, I love my friend Robert, but the internet doesn't see him that way, and it makes my audience feel, at least part of my audience, feel a little uncomfortable with me having this guy on, so I'll just keep being friends with him and just not have him on my channel. Not possible. This must be the most important thing that's ever happened. I can't really justify this, but we're watching Mythvision. Unfortunately, not because he's talking about something
like I
smart.
snapped out of a
That
dream all at
sentence
once.
wasn't smart, though.
I then
to be
realized
fair.
that these people are deeply troubled and like to destroy others.
Just doing normal Chrissy things, ending people's careers, you know.
This is the only clip that he has. Like, there's zero context before or after, and that's just it. That's everything I'm supposed to know about Chrissy. Is this one clip where they say, "I don't know Chrissy's gender," and frankly, I don't know that I trust Derek's gendering here. But we've only seen one clip the entire time. Like the Lloyd Evans credit, he showed more than one clip of his haters.
Really understand or find out. Chrissy had years to be able to contact and have long, friendly conversations with John F. White, to find out if he is this evil guy she acts like he is. The same is true of Bob. The thing is, I know both of them personally and don't believe this bullshit about my friends. These interpretations were dead wrong about John, and I would say are also wrong about Bob. They are conflating his concern.
Who gives a shit about your friendship with Bob? Like, nobody here gives a shit about my real life friends. What do I care? You don't know them. You don't know me totally. You know a lot about me, but not everything. Some shit's private, whatever. It's YouTube, it's parasocial. But this guy is like, the parasocial thing goes both ways, and I remember like Hank Green explaining this in a good video. I think it was an interview that he did where he talked about when their channel started taking off, because they've got a very passionate fan base, the Vlogbrothers, right? But Hank Green said, you know, it works both ways where you kind of start to feel like you are friends with these people online, but you don't know them either. And you could also see that going the other way with, you know, somebody that annoys you, where you really start making them out to be this bully in your head and you're obsessed with them, and it's like, this is just one person on the internet who you do not know, so maybe use the block button, and maybe just interviewing people on your podcast isn't therapy. Maybe.
Conservative politics with racism. And if Bob has any bigotry, it is unconscious and not anything he even knows about. These people do not know him. I do. These people do not care.
You don't know the people.
I do. They would rather crucify him and throw him in an unmarked grave or let the birds eat the flesh off of his skin as he rots on the cross. I'm fucking done.
Right. Like, what is this? What is this argument? I, a straight white man, do not believe that my proudly Republican straight white friend is racist or has any problems with trans people whatsoever. I don't believe that. I don't believe it for a second. Now, yes, The entire platform of Donald Trump was mass deportations now, and we're going to destroy all the trans people. But I think that my friend Robert Price just happens to be not like that at all. And is like, what are you fucking talking about?
One more comment. Chrissy got caught. Chrissy emailed John because she got caught.
Chrissy got caught.
Got caught. She emails him and says, I'm sorry for this brief mention, as if it was insignificant. John's like, I woke up and thought, oh, cool, she's going to apologize. No, she's been doing it for years against John.
What are you talking about?
And I heard from a little birdie. I'm not going to name names. I'm thankful for my sources that she's still hunting dirt on John now.
Wow. You got sources. This is journalism. He's doing a journalism chat.
She was wrong and got caught. So she doesn't want to be wrong. She's still looking to see if John F. White has racist stuff, find him, see if he has white supremacist
Bob
things.
know
Like,
how much
this is
Derek
a
loves him?
poison, a toxic community. I am warning you. If you come close to these people, I promise you, you will potentially either rot with them at some point, or they will turn on you at some point. If you have any conscious, like if you're at
Derek, if you're
honest and
watching,
being
that was a joke, and we were kidding. Okay.
truthful here.
I know that I'm a smaller channel than you, but I'm not a part of the cult. I know that that's a that's a condition for being part of the online atheist cult, is having way fewer subscribers than you. Like, this guy, this sucks so hard. How are you going to make a video about the online atheist cult and you don't mention like Matt Dillahunty and Seth Andrews and Genetically Modified Skeptic and like all of the most famous internet atheists? Like, that's not part of the cult. The only person that you can verify is a person named Chrissy. Like, what are you saying? And no, it doesn't seem like it. It just seems like Chrissy is somebody who makes YouTube videos. I guess I did skip ahead a little bit, so maybe he clarified this at some point.
Doesn't work this way. It's much messier, and they are literally trying to harm and hurt people, and I'm done. Listen, I need you to hear from my brother Neil, the Gnostic informant, who saw everything unfold, was there from the start, and sees he had all sorts of stuff that he has seen that helps you understand the kind of people and the way that they operate in the community.
This is embarrassing.
I actually wasn't even going to address any of this stuff because it's so petty and to the floor as far as like things.
Wow, so whoever this person is immediately is more correct than Derek. Because he understands that it's petty.
He had all sorts of stuff that he has seen that
Who the fuck is this, by
are
the way?
literally trying to honest and being truthful here. The world doesn't work this way. It's much messier, and they are literally trying to harm and hurt people, and I'm done. Listen, I need you to hear from my brother Neil, the Gnostic informant, who saw everything unfold, was there from the start, and sees he had all sorts of stuff that he has seen that helps you understand the kind of people.
Whoa, he's seeing all these things through the fucking Matrix.
So I actually wasn't even going to address any of this stuff because it's so petty and to the floor as far as like things that even matter with people like this. These are people who have
So far,
obviously
true.
issues, power tripping issues, self-appointed heroes, savior complexes. They're going to save all the people that need help. They're the white savior. They're this, they're that. Heathen Queen, I was friends with Heathen Queen for a while, but I noticed
This person really sounds like he's talking about Derek. Like, that description sounds like Derek more than whoever the fuck they're talking about.
the red flags one by one to this very day, which is why
I am part of the woke
Queen
mob.
probably over
We're
a
very
year, maybe longer
powerful
than
and
that.
also very
And
small.
this is somebody
The
who
minorities. There's no
starts
need to
going to
listen
school for a
us.
couple of months and immediately shifts into like expert mode.
What?
Red flag. Number two,
What?
red flag. Always one savior, self-appointed heroes, savior complexes. They're going to save all the people that need help. They're the white savior. They're this, they're that. Heathen
How is this not also what Derek is doing right now?
Queen, I was friends with Heathen Queen for a while, but I noticed the red flags one by one to this very day, which is why I haven't even spoken to Heathen Queen in probably over a year, maybe even longer than that.
So
And
shunning.
this is somebody who starts going to school for a couple of months and immediately shifts into like expert mode. Red flag. Number two,
No. This is not evidence of somebody
couple of months
shifting into
and immediately
expert
shifts
mode.
into like.
Why is this? This doesn't back up what he says. This person knows Hebrew, and the person they were talking to didn't know Hebrew. I don't think this really matches up with the thing he's saying. These examples are moving fast. You kind of gotta pause, but
To like expert mode. Red flag. Number two, red flag. Always getting their car stolen in the middle of the night. Someone crashes into your car. Like,
hey, fuck off. We had both our cars stolen in the span of a year. It's because we live in a bad neighborhood, and there was like a string of like car thefts in Ohio. Like, what the fuck kind of
My car was stolen Saturday night. My car has remote GPS. I disabled my car in
Okay,
Starlink.
this is so stupid.
People get their,
I cannot possibly care about who.
and all this
now
crazy
a third
nonsense that
person
you
who I
only
don't
get
know about.
Anything that we've done that we've hurt each other. They don't just.
And I'm actually mad at myself for even being a part of any of this stuff.
Bob, if you're watching this, I'm sorry for everything I ever did to harm you.
Right?
And I know you are as well, for anything that we've done that we've hurt each other. They don't deserve an apology from you. If there was ever going to be one, it would have happened from decent people who approached this, like the kind guy Daryl, as my example earlier with the Ku Klux Klan. I love you, Bob. I know these people want you destroyed, and I know they will attempt to destroy me for this as well. I don't care what they want, and I hope more academics will not listen to their poison.
Cars don't get stolen. What
I
are you
learned
talking
a
about?
very valuable lesson at 37 years of age. When people are your friends, fight for them. Keep your real friends close. Bob has had to part ways with people who are actual racist, who struggle to not even say the N-word.
Really? Really? Wait, struggle to not say the N-word? What is this? What is this now?
A very valuable lesson at 37 years of age. When people are your friends, fight for them. Keep your
Let me tell you something, man. If you're making a video about this, do not keep saying that you're 37, because it makes it way more embarrassing. You're clearly talking about, like, these young trans kids who are way younger than you. You are an adult with a home and children and financial stability. You're doing great, okay? This is childish shit.
Your real friends close. Bob has had to part ways with people who are actual racist, who struggle to not even say the N-word. Bob has distanced himself from people who openly post anti-Semitic posts. But even these people are worth trying to help.
Bob,
You don't
here's how not racist Bob is. He won't say the N-word, okay? So you think about that. You just think about that right there.
just an attack. The fact is, I don't know another New Testament scholar like Dr. Bob with his 2 PhDs. The idiots online who act like he has nothing to contribute really don't know what they're talking about. And what
This is the fucking Tim Pool thing, where it's like, if somebody who has a PhD agrees with him, then holy shit, this guy's got a PhD, how are you going to question this? But if somebody who has a PhD disagrees with him, you know, like maybe actual doctors who have to provide healthcare to transgender people, well, they're a part of the woke mob, and they're a part of this crazy conspiracy to personally annoy Derek Lambert.
And what's
and
ironic
his
is this.
fucking
Bob Price has
channel.
published on Paul not existing, the Pauline letters being all fabricated. This is a new resurging idea that's come up from Nina Lizzie and from Marcus Vincent. Like, Bob was this decades ago. He was already
The
on this
thrice
thing. Now, you can
agent
disagree with it.
Derek.
You can say, I don't agree with these views these scholars are presenting. Cool. Guess what? I don't necessarily agree, because Mythvision's all about that. But to do that, to try and poo-poo this guy, get the fuck off my train tracks.
Oh, now I want to make a YouTube poop out of it, because he just said poo-poo, and and the N-word. Well, he said the phrase, the N-word, and and he's crashing out, and it would be mean. There are more important people. I need to get back on my JD Vance edits. We just don't see him out there too much.
I don't need you around if you're going to sit here and do that with scholars, because you don't do it with one, but you're finding excuses to do it to another.
No, that's what you're
I
doing.
want to allow the whole buffet of scholarship to be presented. I like the radical views. I like some of the more conservative stuff. You know, I'm going to do a better job in all of this. I think I'm actually going to start interviewing more conservative Christians.
Hey, are you going to... Oh, wow, big fucking shocker at the end of this. He's going to start interviewing more conservative Christians. Never would have seen that bullshit coming. What is the radical stuff that you agree with, by the way? He said some of the more radical stuff, and then some of the more conservative stuff. So that's a little hint right there. Like, I think people could probably agree that there's some form of radicalism on the left. But he is using, radical as a derogatory term, applying it only to seemingly anybody to the left of him, or just a trans person who was mad that they got misgendered one time. Oh, Christina said, wait, no, I'm not going to throw her under the bus.
Christian academics,
like this
they
guy
have that can
did.
contribute, because
I'm going to protect
annoyed by this.
my wife.
I almost want to
okay?
make amends, if you will,
I
and try
love
to go
my
back
wife.
there
I
and
got
see
a
if I can get
tattoo.
some of
It's
these
not
other
of
minds
her,
who contributed to the arena of scholarship and not just only go for extreme critical
Surprise,
stuff.
surprise!
Like, it's where it's meeting me, if that makes sense. This reminds me of the time when Dr. Josh was streaming with 3 other people. All 4 people on the stream were white men. Jessica Heathen Queen was screaming from the chat, why aren't women and blacks on the panel? She shamed them for having...
Okay, this guy is just saying the word blacks, and I think we gotta take a time out. One time, I'll attribute that to a slip of the tongue and him being a good old country boy. I also am that, and I don't say that. What's happening with this guy? What the fuck? And they weren't screaming, were they? He had to imitate screaming while typing because they weren't screaming at you, Derek. They were just in your chat. Earlier, there was somebody who kind of gave me some odd vibes, so I just muted them. And oh, thank God, we needed this.
I can tell.
My wife actually will keep my sanity in check. And she knows better than anybody that we need a peach break right now. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Hello, baby. Here's a peachy. This is a good time for her because it's kind of become her nap time. And so it's working out a little better for the streams, I have to say. Because she's so docile. And she's feeling much better. She was sick. She had some tummy troubles. But now she's doing all better. And her and Bo are best buddies again, running around and wrestling. Yes, we love her. Here, show us your funny face, baby. I'll be cringe. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We love Peach. True. Yes, exactly. Like, I'd say black. I had a lot of black friends growing up, but truly, my best friends were black growing up and in the Witnesses, and now I just don't have any friends of any races at all. We live in a black neighborhood, and so, all the black people I've ever known are, they've preferred to be called black as opposed to African American. So I tend to default to that, but sometimes the white guilt kicks in and I'll say African American. And then there are people who say the blacks, a thing that is so inappropriate that it's consistently made fun of in sitcoms. 30 Rock and The Office both have bits about this. And yeah. How old is Peaches now? I think Peach is 2 now. Yeah, I think.
She turns 2 this year.
Yeah, she's. Well, this weekend, right? Oh my God, I think she turns 2 tomorrow, as a matter of fact. That's crazy. Happy birthday, Peach.
Happy birthday to Peach.
And I was singing Tequila instead of Happy Birthday.
Having a stream
My
because
XJW background.
they didn't have nothing but 4 white guys on the show. Josh buckled to this request, feeling sensitive and hurt. Oh my God, what did I do wrong? But my gut
Buckled
thought,
to the
this is
request?
nuts. No one's going to guilt me over some shit that I didn't do wrong. Jessica also said on one of my streams.
Why are you so mad about this? Why? It's just a fucking suggestion. Maybe have a more diverse panel in the future. I get it. It's hard to organize a bunch of different people's schedules. I need to have more diversity on this channel. It is something that I try and keep in mind, but there's also the reality of you want a guest and not everybody can just come on a YouTube stream wherever or whenever, I should say. And so okay, just calm the fuck down. That's not a big deal. This is one comment.
Streams with her and Josh that she hates.
And what's buckling to the request? Just having more diversity in the future? That genuinely is important. If your channel is called Mythvision and you're supposedly going to be talking about the history of spirituality and holy texts, yeah, you should probably have more than just white men on your channel because you're not going to get a particularly broad, nuanced picture of that, are you?
White people.
Yeah.
It's not.
Also, sorry, I'm LOLing at people in the comments saying anti-white indoctrination. Bye.
I'm not anti-white.
I am.
And I'm thinking, girl, you are white. But what I said is, I don't hate white people with a...
She was joking! So he just doesn't understand irony at all.
Very uncomfortable pause that followed.
Red flag after red flag after red flag.
This is going so far that you need to see people as color. You need to see people by sex. But even then, you can't just assume their sex or gender. You look like a guy, I call you a guy, oh fuck, I'm screwed. You aren't allowed to be conservative or you're racist. There are many other doctrines of this cult, and they continue to build over time. For example...
It's not a cult, it's 2 people that you don't like.
There's a rift in the online community between vegans and meat eaters. To be completely honest, the vegans have the moral upper ground. In this community,
Wow.
you are actually murdering animals and claiming.
Brave of him to admit this. And can we just pause to acknowledge that it does seem like he is going to be giving literal animals more dignity than transhumans.
To be a good person while
Not to be a
contributing to mass
transhumanist.
farming industry slaughter of living creatures.
A scary
However,
woke term
most of these members
that I
who eat
think
meat
is real.
find a way to make eating meat okay. I've seen Matt Dillahunty respond to this. Suppose we are vegans. Should we cancel those who eat meat, the meat eaters, and go out of our way to boycott them?
Yeah.
They're doing evil.
Yep.
Why not? Be consistent. Oh, you don't realize the evil that you commit because you're probably a meat eater in this community.
Oh.
Also, on a recent stream that was slamming me for having Bob on, they threatened to boycott mvp-courses.com, which is my wife's business.
No. That couldn't possibly be true. That people wouldn't want to shop at your wife's business because they don't like your YouTube channel? That's basically a crime, right? To not shop at a store that you don't want to shop at? That's like... I mean, that's worse than racism. And hey, just so you know, this is what my wife looks like. I'm not just going to put her course name on the screen.
She runs it. And even Kip chimed in and go, oh, no, not my course. As if, are you okay with them boycotting the other courses, Kip? Come on, man. I thought you're my friend. I thought you had my back. I need help here. I don't think you realize what's happening here, and you're playing a part of this.
This is some fragile man baby
my wife.
shit. This sucks. This is some weak ass shit, man. This is a grown man. This is a grown adult dude. And he is acting like a baby. Like if I was a parent and I found out that my teenager posted a video like this on the internet, I would have a sit down chat with them and be like, you are going to regret this for the rest of your life because you look silly and you frankly are coming across like a mad teenager. I know that you think it's important right now, but I think when you have some perspective, you're going to regret it. I think you don't come across well, is what I would say to an actual teenager who posted this same thing word for word. And this is a grown man who has a small business, and his wife has a small business, and he is losing his mind over like 2 trans people who made him mad on Facebook or something.
Wife is a woman who's working her ass off every day to try taking care of her children. These pieces of shit want to destroy everything I and my queen have built. I ask everyone who's watching this to consider carefully where we're all headed in this world and understand why I don't believe Bob is what these people are trying to accuse him of. I also...
Like, I think... I agree. I totally have almost made videos where I, am complaining about hate I'm getting or something. Like, maybe not that, but like, I obviously have a lot of differences, to put it lightly, with right-leaning XJWs on the channel, and I do get annoyed by them, and sometimes they'll pester me a little bit, and I've thought about making this video, and then I realized probably not a good idea. Probably no good would come from that, and you know what? I'm glad that I didn't. Like Kim and Mikey, they had the convention leaked videos that we watched on the last stream. Like, what? It's just not worth it. And at the end of the day, nobody really cares enough about XJWs anyway. So who gives a shit? And live and let live. But no, can't do that. I gotta be a brave soldier for me and my tribe and my family right here on my arm, guys. Like, this is...
So don't want to pretend that he's perfect, but he is my friend. I also want you to understand that several black friends, beyond just Brady, who did a stream about this, they've encouraged me to continue with my friend Bob, like Durante. They believe that if he is harboring shit, and he doesn't even realize it, the only way for change is to work with him. If he is realizing it...
Durante Lamar fucking rules, and this guy sucks for bringing his name into the matter.
Even more reason to try and help him. I know this firsthand with my own parents.
Nobody's saying that you shouldn't try and help him, but Derek doesn't have on Robert Price to help him. He has Robert Price on to bolster the legitimacy of his channel because Derek doesn't have any credentials of his own. Just like I don't, right? Like, I don't have any academic credentials. So if I had a scholar on, it would give the channel a little bit of like, oh, okay, this must be really serious. Yeah, of course, I totally think that we should try and help people who, are kind of swept up by this MAGA fever shit. But you do that one-on-one. You're not going to accomplish that over YouTube to begin with, if that's even what you were doing. But that's not even what he's doing. It doesn't bring him on to disagree with him. All he's done the entire time is talked about how much he agrees with him.
My mom has come a long way in her beliefs about the world, and I would never give up on my mom. It reminds me of some people in this cult who suggest in their communities that they should separate from their family members because those family members are Christians. Their family members need punishment for their beliefs because they feel oppressed by these beliefs. They don't even realize.
No, it's not oppression. They just don't want to shop at your wife's fucking store. That's not being oppressed. That's how the economy works. If you don't like a store or the person who owns it, you're not going to shop there anymore. I mean, what are the chances? I mean, how many people are signing up for mvpcourses.com to begin with?
That they are oppressing others while claiming to be the oppressed. It's wild. To wrap up this video, I don't fall prey to the pressure online with those who think they are morally
There's no such thing
superior,
as an unnecessary
because I know
swipe at a Republican.
much more about this community than I care to share right now. I will hold this card in my back pocket in case I ever need to use it due to them not leaving my wife, Bob, or me alone. And if I find out I'm needing to do it, I will. I really.
Well, oh, actually, I'm glad that you said that because, like, you know, Robert Price, okay, is this supposedly skeptical Bible scholar, and I do think that Robert Price is an atheist, I think. The Speaker of the House is a Christian nationalist who believes that the earth was created 6,000 years ago and that the flood was real. And they want to make it the law for kids to learn that shit in schools instead of evolution. That is the platform of the Republican Party. If you are pro-science and you are a Republican, you're a fucking idiot. You are voting against your own self-interests. It's really, really insane to position yourself as this is like an academic channel where we talk to smart people and have somebody on who is, frankly, at this point, just infamous for supporting the very guy who wants to gut academic institutions. But why do they do it? Because they feel personally aggrieved by the academic institutions. Because of this cycle. They like Trump. And so academia obviously is a bit more skeptical towards the most anti-intellectual president we've ever had, and who explicitly wants to take money away from them and hold it ransom unless they get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And so, yeah, academia is not going to like you if you agree with that, because it kind of fucks up the entire academic enterprise. It's brain drain. Nobody, and it's already happening. Scholars are leaving the United States. Nobody's going to want to come here anymore. Like OSU in our home state of Ohio is just fucked. Like, no, who the fuck, other than somebody who is specifically going to play for the Buckeyes, is going to want to come to OSU anymore? Like, this is why, if you are somebody who values education, you do not like the Republican Party, because they are an explicitly anti-education party. And so the fact that this guy is, like, platforming these people and going to bat for them and apologizing for them, like, that's insane. He didn't define a cult the entire time. That's a great point. He didn't define it. It was feels over reels front to back. All he did was just vibe this out. He just was like, the vibe is these three people are somehow responsible for all of the evils that I face in the world.
Really appreciate you for watching. If you stand with this message, I swear to God,
with
I need
this
your help.
Message. If you stand with this message, I swear to God, I need your help. Oh, fuck this. That's really gross, actually. I hate that. But actually, I really could use your help. Sign up for Patreon. I think it's the difference between people who, can't see the difference between conservatism and MAGA. MAGA is not conservative. It is fascist. It is, we've seen how quickly they took control over everything, upended the Constitution, that defying the Supreme Court. That's literally the opposite of conservative. I think that probably everybody has some beliefs that, like, on a scale are more conservative than certain other things, but that's not what the Republican Party is anymore. That's not what Robert Price is. And apparently that's not what Derek is. Like, it's really fucking insane. Ooh, wait. Should we look at the comments before we go? Sorry for going for so long. I really should finish that video, but now I'll have to get up from this chair so my back doesn't hurt. All right, let's dig in on this. This weaselly shit posted an hour after he posted this. Or no, I guess at the same time. This video is targeting a specific controlling group of online atheists. Singular. Singular capital. Chrissy is a pagan, not an atheist. What the fuck are you talking about then? This is really critical. So, essentially, the only person he talked about the entire time was Chrissy, who isn't an atheist. And he still is framing it around why I'm leaving an atheist cult. He's doing this for money! He's doing this to appeal to MAGA conservative Christians who have all the power in the algorithm game right now. This is a grift. Absolutely sucks. Quoting scripture, ignoring the plank in our own eyes, in spite of trying to destroy us. Sign up for one of my wife's capital letters courses. Ironically, this guy doesn't fucking understand pronouns. Who would have seen that one coming? If anyone despises me, that is his problem. My only concern is not doing or saying anything deserving of contempt. Marcus Aurelius. That's damning. To quote Marcus Aurelius at a guy like this. It's giving Trump isn't racist because he employs black people and they are allowed at Mar-a-Lago while ignoring the whole Central Park. Okay, so he's actually kind of getting dragged. If I tell you I'm an atheist, the only thing you know about me is that I don't believe in God, nothing more. And that's the top voted one as far as I can tell. In legitimate ratio on that. That's got 461 likes. His comment has 277. Dude, you were the one that trashed Price when all you had to do, if you chose not to have him on to do his scholarly extra views, was to say that you weren't going to have him on. This time around, if you wanted to mea culpa and let us know that you were going to concentrate on scholarly views and shouldn't have dropped him at the time, that would have been fine too, all you needed to say. But now you need to trash a bunch of people who are not you and did not decide for you earlier to drop Price. Exactly, man. But that's the whole fucking thing. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing it on the screen. God damn it. It's pretty bad. It's brutal out here in the comment section. But yeah, he's getting dragged in the comments. And yeah, this is the thing that I find about the modern MAGA movement, whatever we want to call this, is it like you are just simply not responsible for your own actions. Like I consider I think maybe because of my JW background, but like personal responsibility is important. And they just don't believe in that shit at all. It is only nefarious dark forces that could ever make you do something that is perceived as bad by those same dark forces. Like, it's incoherent. And this is his birthday. Ay, puppy. Happy birthday. I'm gonna do this shit. Maybe we're hanging with the wrong crowd. Whoa. I'm 80 years old, and a friend just showed me this video. I don't know how this rant is supposed to help the author. Social media isn't the right place to be thin-skinned. Oh, this is brutal. Another thing I did notice about this video is that the video ended with a request for money, and that really made me question the entire video. Listen to your elders, folks. I don't give a shit about any of this. I just want to study ancient religion and find the truth about it. I like history and religion. More episodes on Zoroastrianism or ancient Greek religions would be sick. I just couldn't pronounce that other one. I'll just be real with you, so I just gave up. I also, frankly, don't want to support someone who supports Trump through you. Sorry. I'm seeing 0 positive comments. But, Derek, this is an objectively funny place to pause it at the end of all this. Well, hey, if you're watching this, I think you dropped the ball. Have me on your channel. Apparently you love having opposing views on the channel, so I will come on and give you my opposing view. Platform me. Platform a radical leftist who thinks that you just came off as a little cringe, maybe. All right, folks, we did it. We did it. Stay tuned for more videos. Long stream, but you know what? We had some good, we had some laughs. I'll say it. We had some laughs. That was Hot Take Jay.
This is Hot Take Jay.
Need to extend that so it doesn't cut out as he's saying the word Jake. And that's it. Thanks, everybody.
It's interesting. So